Welcome back to the OutTheSmoke podcast. I'm Mark. We got a very special guest today. I would say probably so far the number one most special guest.
You say that to all your guests.
You're my first guest. But we got Miss Rachelle Reed in here with us. You want to tell them a little bit kind of how we met and what got this relationship started maybe?
You and your brother, Jamie, came to one of our barbecue classes.
2013.
2013? Wow. Anyway, that's how we met. Y'all started competing in barbecue. We were kind of in the same town, same area. And we just became friends and, I don't know, bonded over barbecue.
Yeah.
And then...
your story's a little different than I remember, but we'll go with that one. That one's the good one.
And then, I don't know, it just kind of evolved and y'all joined HowToBBQRight. And
a lot has changed in 11 years.
it has. It's crazy how, looking back on it, how far things have come.
Like I take a lot of pride in knowing, like I didn't know y'all when y'all started, but y'all were pretty fresh when we did meet. I mean, y'all hadn't.
We were still packing boxes in the garage. Yeah.
So like I kind of see the whole story, and people always ask like, do you hear Malcolm and Shell's story? Yeah, I hear it. I seen it. I was part of it. Like,
yeah.
It's pretty cool to see that, you know. So congrats for the great success. And, you know, this is kind of all new to us here,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. This is like a little offshoot kind
It
of.
is.
Of
So what's it like being on this end?
I don't like it.
I don't like this side. It's different.
I'm not in front of the camera person. I like it behind the scenes.
Yeah. So we're bringing the OutTheSmoke back. This will be kind of our first episode of the series, and we're talking Christmas and holiday parties. So
I love Christmas and holiday parties.
I do too. Like the food's always good.
The food is always good.
We're pretty good about throwing good Christmas parties.
Yeah.
So, and everybody that we go to visit are pretty good about throwing Christmas parties.
I agree.
But it takes more than what most people think.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just winging it Thursday night before your Friday party and it's going to be a success, because it's not.
No, you start with the list.
Start with the list. You got to write it down.
Then you got to buy the groceries, and then there's a good party, 2-3 days of prep, you know?
And I want to take this time and kind of give people some ideas, give people an examples of what has worked in the past, what hasn't, you know, and in my opinion, there's several parts to a good get together, a good Christmas party, and planning. Everybody has their apps, that's kind of,
it's the best part.
you're the sides chick. So like that's kind of your wheelhouse right there.
Do you think the appetizers are the best part? To me, they're the best part.
That's
little, you just walk around and take little bites of everything.
So from my past experience, the apps can make or break the party.
Agreed.
But if the apps aren't good, that main dish better be banging.
Yeah.
Like it better be good. But the apps can save a main dish from not being as good. And I've been in that boat. I've cooked a prime rib that I completely nuked by accident, but the app saved the day. It was a good Christmas party.
Everybody was like, well, at least see this. Yeah.
But I think it's so much more involved. It takes planning. It takes, you know, it's not something I'd want to conquer by myself.
Mm-mm.
You know, it takes a spouse, a friend, a couple of friends, and then you can really throw together something that's going to be epic. That's, you know, I want people to come to my house and remember it and talk about it next year, you know.
Yeah.
And that's my goal here, is to like give you ideas, give people ideas of what we learned and how to make that Christmas party be something that they call you next fall, be like, hey, you want to host it again?
Yeah.
So that's kind of our goal here.
And you kind of do the same thing, but me and Malcolm are really bad about, we take care of everything. If you come to a party at our house, don't bring a dish. Yeah. Bring a bottle, you know, bring something to drink.
Maybe a sweet
maybe
snack
a dessert
later
or something. Yeah. But we like to take care of everything from start to finish.
I agree. Because, you can control it.
You can control it. You show off a little bit, you know?
Because
if that's your wheelhouse, you want to show it off a little bit.
I just got back from a Thanksgiving get-together in Indiana. Thank you, the Craigs, for inviting us. I loved it. It was great. But going to like a different place and not having control over everything, it's different. And I tried to like pump my brakes up there. Like me and Emily were like, we're going to do this, this, and this, and that's it. Like, don't have any input. I want to try their Thanksgiving, you know? And it was great. Like, but it's different.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that commercial where the woman talks about bringing the whole Thanksgiving dinner and just working it in? She's
Just
going to
sneaking it
somewhere.
all in.
Yeah.
You just about have to. But I think it gives everybody opportunity to kind of get you a taste of what it's like on the restaurant side of things, and the catering side of things. Because if you tackle a big get together by yourself, you're getting the full dose of prepping, cooking, getting frustrated, probably getting into an argument with your wife or husband.
Yeah.
Like, it happens, but you get a taste of that. And I think a lot of people get a little taste of that and they realize, hey, this life is not for me. This is good for once a year, but we've done it. We've catered before and be like, nope, we're not going to open a restaurant. Like, we're not.
It takes a lot longer than you think it does, too. The prep and the planning and stuff like that.
So we're going to start off with your childhood. I'm going to kind of break script a little bit. We all had childhood sides. We're going to start. You're my sides girl. Like, that's what we're talking about. Apps, sides, finger foods. And we need to kind of determine the difference in those two. But what is something that sticks out in your mind as a kid that was a side or appetizer growing up?
Sausage balls. I love sausage balls. I don't know if is that a regional thing or is that
I don't know, but you and Malcolm are always going to bring them regardless.
It's basically Bisquick, sausage, and cheese. And there's a lot of different, variations out there. You got the ones with the lobster, red lobster mint.
Oh, I'm not a fan of those.
I haven't tried them yet.
They're too cakey.
Yeah. See, I want more cheese and more sausage.
I want meat.
Yeah.
Like the last ones we made, we didn't put Bisquick in it. Like, I took Townhouse crackers and crumbled up just like a half a sleeve of them, and that was it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because they're buttery.
Yeah.
And they'll absorb your grease from your sausage, and it doesn't give you that. See, you give me a dry sausage ball, that's the worst.
I know, me too. But when they're moist and hot and fresh, and we use them a lot for breakfast. They're not just a side dish or an appetizer, yeah.
And you can take that, like, we've done it before, like the breakfast style. Emily's took, like, day-old biscuits that she made, like, for Christmas, because you're always making biscuits at Christmas, and she'll crumble them up. And then if you make, like, a hollandaise dipping sauce, it's so good for breakfast.
A hollandaise dipping sauce for your sausage balls?
Because you got to have your sausage and eggs.
So we've done a sweet pepper jelly or something with sauce. I love the hollandaise.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
So, moving on. So, sausage ball, we know that's your wheelhouse. That's your jam.
That's what, something I remember from childhood, like loving that.
See, that's something else is, like, nobody talks about how much the food has changed from your childhood to what you cook now for your family.
Is that old joke?
No, like, it's the same for me. Like, we didn't have prime rib at Christmas when I was a kid.
No.
And, like,
Brussels sprouts? No.
We had dressing and ham. It was basically just a less festive Thanksgiving for Christmas.
Yeah, it was pretty much just casseroles.
Yeah, casseroles. You always have the one or two family members that stop at Pizza Hut and just show up with like 6 pizzas, and they've done their part, which I'm not against.
We did not have that family member.
We did. She showed up with pizzas and cigarettes. Sorry, Mary Jane. But so when we talk about apps, you got appetizers, and we were arguing about this in the conference room earlier. You got appetizers, you got sides, you got, what's the fancy word? Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres, yeah.
Hors d'oeuvres. Then you got pass-arounds, and then you got finger foods. Like, what separates all those?
To me, finger foods is what you serve at a shower. That just, I don't know, a baby shower or something?
But you've
probably, a wedding shower?
Have you made cocktail weenies? They go to every baby shower in the South, I think.
Yeah. And cocktail weenies can be an appetizer. Yeah. What is the difference?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Hors d'oeuvres is fancy people.
Yeah, but like if we put hollandaise on a sausage ball, that's an hors d'oeuvre. Yeah, like it's solid.
So what do you think's the difference? What's the distinction?
This is going to be wrong, but I feel like an appetizer is something you have to have a plate for to eat.
Okay.
Whereas, like, I don't know.
That's a good point. Like, if you have to have a plate for it, or do you just walk around and pick it up and pop it in your mouth?
Like, pass-arounds to me would be like that, something that you could go over there like a rib. Like, we don't have ribs for Christmas. I have. But for instance, if you had, like, y'all's fantasy football.
Yeah.
Y'all cook ribs. That's something you can grab a rib bone, have a drink in one hand, and go, like, fellowship, you know? I don't know.
So does that become a finger food?
In my opinion, yeah. Ribs are great finger food. But, all right, so mashed potatoes are a side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Macaroni and cheese is a side.
One of the best. Yeah.
But you turn around, I've seen and ordered macaroni and cheese for appetizer restaurant. It would be like fritters or.
Yeah, I've said fried macaroni and cheese balls.
Yes.
Ooh, dipped in ranch.
I know.
That's not really a Christmas or holiday side though. That's more like bar food.
But.
And and bar food too, you gotta worry.
I mean, add another one. I need a 6th finger. So, all right, then what technically makes it a Christmas appetizer then? Because see,
to me, it's all about like what I remember as Christmas or what,
I don't want mozzarella cheese sticks at my Christmas dinner, but like if somebody had like a nacho bar over there, that's good food's good food.
And then like you've got like spinach dip, the cold Knorr spinach dip. I love that growing up. I still love it. It's so good, but I only ever even think about it Thanksgiving, Christmas,
So did you hear me telling Malcolm the other day on the phone about what Alec done with the spinach dip?
Probably not.
So this
might have been on speaker.
This was a side. This was an appetizer, and this could have been a finger food. So he took turkey, shredded it, mixed it with store-bought spinach and artichoke dip, folded
when you say spinach and orange, like just out of the deli section?
Just out of the deli, cold, and he mixed it up, and it was a good spinach and artichoke dip for store-bought, and then put it in a wonton, folded it over, fried it. That was so good. That was one of my best bites this past weekend.
Was there a dipping sauce?
It didn't need it. I mean, it was perfection. And they do a thing where at the end of each, like I guess Thanksgiving meal, everybody votes their best bite. And he won it last year. And I'd have to agree, like, that's a good bite.
I like that. Everybody votes their best bite.
Yeah, like it's not like a contest, but you say, hey, what was your best bite today? And I would say it would have been that. Or maybe a cinnamon roll. I had homemade cinnamon roll. That was just fine. It's gooey in the middle. And see, that could be a side. Cinnamon rolls don't have to be dessert.
Oh, I use them for breakfast. That's our Christmas breakfast. It's cinnamon rolls.
So, what is a side that you say is a no-go? Something that is not Christmas.
Coleslaw, potato salad.
No 4th of July sides.
Yeah, all the stuff that you associate.
And see, I don't think
baked
really.
Beans out of.
I don't want a cold side at Christmas.
Yeah, I do broccoli salad. And that's cold. Yeah. And I always serve that because I do feel like we need something.
Fiber.
Yeah, some fiber mixed up in there.
Everybody needs a little fiber.
Even though it's got bacon and mayonnaise in it, but still. But anything you associate with summer cooking.
So on the sides and stuff, do you usually try to do that in advance?
Oh, as much as I can.
So what are some good examples of stuff you can do the day before that'll hold, that is easy?
Like this, just past Thanksgiving, I did sweet potato casserole. Mm-hmm. You can do it all, have it ready to go in the oven, make your sweet potato, do your topping, put some foil on it, put it in the fridge, and you're good to go, the next day. Mm-hmm. So all you got to do is bake it the next day. Mac and cheese, same thing. Assembled it, topped it, put it in the fridge. So anything like that. My broccoli salad, I do all the, like my dressing and keep it separate, and then do all my chopping and my prepping and mixing all the, salad ingredients and keep those separate. And then right before you serve it, you mix it together.
Do you make that dressing from scratch?
Yeah.
You do? I couldn't remember if it was like a kit or
no,
what it was.
It's just mayonnaise, sugar, and vinegar, apple cider vinegar.
Mayonnaise.
Oh, if I'm cooking, there's going to be a lot of mayonnaise. There's going to be mayonnaise. There's going to be butter. There's going to be some kind of carb.
Gotta have that.
Cheese.
I mean, so
I cook good. I don't cook healthy.
I mean, there's a difference because we tried the whole eating healthy thing, and you gotta have.
Yeah, I mean, we try. Yeah, we do that on Monday
through Thursday, Wednesday depends on how the week's going.
But
you can always judge our weeks at the office if we go to Mexican on Wednesday night or Thursday.
Yeah,
it's like, it was a little tough this week. We're gonna go on Wednesday night, but. So that's kind of what we did for this past weekend. We went to Indiana for Thanksgiving. Me and Emily prepped everything we had the day before, everything that we could. I done the dressing, which I don't know. I mean, I've had dressing at Christmas, but to me, dressing's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
I had to make dressing. These folks have never had dressing. They're all about the stuffing, and they heard I was making dressing, and guess what? There was not any of stuffing.
What, they got rid of it?
Mm,
They just didn't cook
They didn't
it?
make it.
Did
And
they
I
like
was
the
nervous.
Did they like the dressing?
They told me they did. I thought it was delicious because I'd done like a pork sausage, like a breakfast sausage and dressing with turkey. I used our sausage seasoning for the sage, and like it was good dressing, but I know they're not used to it. So I was nervous.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like,
It was foreign to them.
yeah. But everybody raved about it from what I can tell. And I guess that's something to think about too, is where you're going.
Yeah.
Like
that's
if
a
you're
big
cooking
one.
local, do your normal stuff. But if you're going somewhere or traveling, that throws a kink in everything as far as prepping, what you're cooking. Like you may not have an option to cook when you get there.
Yeah.
So you might have to hold something, and we get more questions on how to hold meat or how to hold sides or how to hold anything for extended periods of time. And that's something you learn catering, and it's a challenge. It is.
And dry coolers work,
I mean, they got 1,000 things now. Like when we started, like, have you seen the soft-sided, what do they call it? The rest and wrap thing? You know how we got our little casserole, insulated casserole things?
Yeah.
It's like a bigger version to like wrap bigger things in, or meats, or it's like a holding blanket, I think.
And you just
got handles and everything. It's pretty nice. But
I ordered something off TikTok Shop. It's a heated mat, and you set your casserole dishes on top of it. It works really good. I used it for Thanksgiving.
I wonder if that'd be legal in a barbecue contest.
It's outside source. It's an outside heat source. I don't know. And I used it to rise the rolls because I was rising rolls.
Really?
And I put a pork rack on top and then put my rolls on top of it and put it on the lowest setting, and it rose them faster.
So are rolls aside?
I don't know. Are rolls aside?
I think they're filler.
They're
their own thing.
An accoutrement?
I don't know. They never use that fancy word. I think they're their own thing. Now, if you get a roll,
but you got to have some.
You got to have rolls. You got to have a carb to help a carb down.
They got to work together.
Yes, they work together. You can't just have one carb on the meal. Yeah. Like you got to have multiple. It's this team of carbs here. But I will say, what kind of rolls did you do? Did you do the frozen dough balls?
Yeah, we do the roads. They come in a little ball, frozen.
The butt cheek rolls? You put 2 in a pan?
No, see, Malcolm likes to put 2 in a pan, but I feel like they don't rise as well. And they get a little doughy in the middle, like they just don't cook right. He likes them that way. I just do a single one, but I use a cupcake pan, and put 1 in each cupcake pan.
You taught me this, and I don't know that you taught me this. It was back, I think, one of the first hog videos we done. I think it was the one where it was me and Heath and Jamie, and I think Waylon come over.
It was a New Year's Eve hog.
Mojo.
Yeah.
And we cooked some rolls the night we were prepping the hog, I think, for supper. And we let them rise, and we were just going to throw them in the smoker. Well, I didn't know you could jiggle a roll and it would deflate.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, hey, be easy, don't shake them. And I just like pitched them up in there, and we opened the smoker. They were like pancakes. I didn't know that could go on.
It's just like a cake. You can make a cake fall and stuff.
So how do you know when they're perfectly risen? What's the telltale sign? All right, they need to go in the oven. Because you can rise them too much.
You can rise them too much. You just got to know when they get to that point. I guess it's only knowing what container you put in, know how far they're going to go. When you want them, like when they start looking like, yep, that's the shape I want them,
Get ahead of it.
Yeah, that's the shape I want them. Go ahead and get them in there.
So do you butter when they're completely cooked or halfway through the cook?
I usually do right at the end, butter them and let them go just another minute.
Sprinkle salt?
Because I feel like, oh, no, I didn't this time, but I like
You got to have the coarse salt. And there is a difference in salts on that.
Okay. What's the difference in salt?
So you got, like a lot of people's going to grab table salt.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be too salty. And then you got like the coarser salt, which is going to be gritty. Jay brought me some shaved salt, and it's like the real flaky, and it almost like when it touches your tongue, it melts. So good on a roll.
That's like the fancy salt.
Yeah, the fancy salt. And I never knew there was fancy salt until like here recently.
It's like learning there's fancy butter.
So what's going to be your sides this year?
Are we talking Christmas?
Christmas.
Are we talking party? Are we talking the main family dinner? What are we?
Is there a difference?
100%.
Tell me.
Okay, so a party, you're going to have a charcuterie board, You got to have a charcuterie board. We need
touch base on that.
Yeah. And see, that is not one thing I had growing up,
No.
You might have got one of those Hormel.
No.
It's like pepperoni and cheese.
We never had fancy cuts of meat other than bologna until I was old enough to buy it myself. Like, you did not see salami and pastrami and all that in the refrigerator when we were kids.
Heck no. But and blue cheese, nobody had blue cheese.
Nah, my
or
mama
just
loved.
hunks of cheese, you know.
No, she had blue cheese dressing, and it was just
Yeah,
Kraft.
yeah.
And it wasn't good, but Mama loved blue cheese dressing.
But real cheese, like
No.
we didn't have that back then.
Kraft singles in the plastic wrapper
Yeah,
that won't melt.
exactly.
You could cook it for days.
You
It
fold them
won't
up and
melt.
make little squares.
Oh.
We did have sausage and cheese, yeah, growing up. But
See, we didn't even have that. Like, we were basic. Like, my grandmother made the dressing. We had dressing at Christmas and Thanksgiving. It didn't matter. But it's just, things have changed so much.
Mhm.
But not to get off.
Okay, so you got to have a charcuterie board, and it's got to be pretty.
And this is for your party, not your
This
dinner.
is a party. This is like a fancy friend party or something like that. So charcuterie board, Malcolm always does that. He does a really good job of it. He enjoys it. So, and then he's going to cook some sort of meat. It's probably going to be a loin, usually we do dueling loins. It's a beef loin and a pork loin. And then you got to have some sort of roll. And then I usually do a cranberry sauce to go with the pork loin.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do little cranberry pork on your roll. And then we do a horseradish mayo for the beef. And sometimes I'll throw in something else, just some crazy other sauce.
Does seafood belong at a...
Yeah, we usually do. If we're going fancy, we do shrimp cocktail.
I was going to say shrimp cocktail. Yeah. We have thrown some crab legs out there before. That's for the down and dirty Christmas party.
Yeah,
like,
you got to have
you're not going to wear a red dress and suit to this one. Like,
you got to have a small group coming to that one for the crab legs.
They get too expensive.
Yeah, but the shrimp are a great appetizer because everybody loves shrimp, or most people love shrimp. And there's nothing. Your prep is thawing them out usually. So, but you got to put in, some cocktail sauce, maybe champagne vinaigrette to go with it, something to make it a little more fancy than just shrimp. Then we usually do some sort of, you got to have two dips, I think. You got to have a hot dip, you got to have a cold dip.
I can get behind that.
Yeah. So either a spinach dip for your hot dip, onion dip, those are my two kind of go-tos. Then a cold dip, you can do a cold spinach dip, maybe a ranch style dip, or a cheese ball, or
pimento and cheese.
You can do pimento and cheese. To me, that almost goes on the charcuterie board.
Yeah.
That goes back to charcuterie board. But so you need two dips, and then you need at least two more little apps. Something.
Do you have a chart with all this? Like,
it's just how my mind works.
No, you're looking at it as like a pie table. Like you're sorting it all out. But you're right, though. You got to have a mixture. Because
little things in phyllo cups. We fill up the little phyllo cups and bake them. Those are so good,
What was it they used to always... What about are the ham and cheese sliders considered Christmas?
Totally. To me, I don't think... They're like sausage balls. I don't think about them until Thanksgiving,
Fall
Christmas.
Time.
Yeah.
So what's the trick to those? Because yours are different than anybody. Like, I've had them. We used to have them. We tailgated Ole Miss. Like, everybody brought them. But yours, do you put more mustard? Like, you do something different that's got more of a kick, like a tang, not a spice, but like more of a pop of flavor than normal.
I know you don't like Worcestershire sauce.
What is it again?
That old W sauce.
Yeah, W sauce.
But I put a little bit of that in there. I put some good mustard. But I also, when I do mine, you slice your rolls, and most people just build your ham and cheese and then put the rolls on top and pour all the butter and stuff on top. I put it on the bottom. So I slice my rolls and I put all my good buttery goodness on the bottom of that roll, because I feel like if it doesn't get inside if you just put it on top. And then I build my layers, and then I put top, and then I butter it again. And with those, I've learned that wrapping them in aluminum foil, I used to do that a lot, but it's like the butter in the aluminum foil burns the bottom. So I quit doing that.
I done that on a pellet grill. I mean, burnt the bottom to smithereens.
Yep.
And it
really
done it just a few minutes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I went out there, put them on, the grill was running 350, come back out, and I was like, oh. And like, we ended up flipping it over and cutting the bottom off and putting it back in there.
Because it's fine on top.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just that it gets burnt on the bottom.
I think the foil just radiates and catches so much of that heat so quick.
And it's the butter mixing with the foil, and it just ruins it.
Got to have a bread. So you said rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just rolls, or is it like a French bread? Like,
It depends on what you're doing. So, like, if we'll do like tri-tip, we'll do a baguette and then have some sort of like maybe a pesto or a chimichurri, to go with that. Or even, what's that cheese you like? Boursin
and cheese.
Yeah, even a boursin cheese spread with that. And then but I feel like if you're doing the loins, which are really easy to do, really easy to serve, they do really well. You need something that you can open up.
Yeah.
So like a roll or something like that.
You need a transportation device
Yeah.
for the protein.
You need to make almost a sandwich, the fanciest sandwich possible,
I think like appetizers and sides, like definitely around Christmas can be festive, but I don't think the actual appetizer side has to be like, it's not what makes it festive. Like for instance, you take a pork loin. Pork loin you can do any time of the year, but you add the cranberry sauce and all of a sudden it's a Christmas dish.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you do something as simple as a pimento cheese, meat and cheese board, like just little sprigs of rosemary takes it from a normal meat and cheese board. Like, oh man, this is beautiful. This is a Christmas dish,
Couple of cranberries.
Yeah.
Same thing with the meat board. Just throw some rosemary.
Rosemary brightens it up.
Yeah.
And
it gives it that feel.
What is a pack of rosemary? Like $2?
Yeah. It's pretty cheap. A bag of cranberries is about the same thing.
And that could take any appetizer. And you're not changing the recipe whatsoever. You're literally just garnishing it with that. But it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
We had some cranberries. Have you seen the TikTok recipe where they soak the cranberries in like pineapple juice?
Yes, and then they make them sugared or
Yeah,
something?
they roll them in sugar and freeze them. They're so...
Really?
Shelly made them last week. And
you don't do anything else to it?
It's like eating candy. And it does not taste like a cranberry at all.
And cranberries are bitter.
Yeah. No, these are delicious. Like Michael would love them because you get like, especially if you had a little bit of that citric acid you can mix in and make them sour, they'd be so good.
Because he does the cranberry sauce. He likes it, and it's super easy. That's like his contribution to our Thanksgiving.
The can?
No, he makes them from fresh.
Michael does?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's just a bag of cranberries and then fourth cup of orange juice.
Yeah. Cook them down.
And honey, and you can just let it cook down for about 15 minutes, and it like forms all that pectin and becomes jelly, essentially.
When we were in Indiana, I said, y'all gonna do the canned cranberry sauce? And they were like, oh, we don't ever do cranberry. I'm like, what? So we got us a can of canned cranberry sauce, and you got to slice it on the lines.
Yes, we did it. I mean, we got it for Thanksgiving too.
It's good. I think it's more of a mental thing.
It's ugly.
Oh, it's terrible looking. And it can't be good for you. I don't know what it is. It's not cranberries. Like it's frozen Kool-Aid and I don't know, gelatin.
Jelly, yeah. But I hate sitting that out on like a fancy, if we're doing a fancy party, I hate sitting that out.
Everybody had the little clear square dish your mama would drag out.
Yes.
And
you cut it on the line.
And it would fall over and like you'd have one piece hanging halfway off because the dish wasn't big enough. But I don't know. Like I think it's just neat to see, especially getting to go to Christmas parties over the years, like see what people do different.
Mm-hmm.
Like he always throws a great Christmas party, and to go there and it's always different stuff there.
He has it catered.
But it's top notch,
Yes.
And they do the same thing. Like they had that big charcuterie platter out, and it's
they
same.
usually do some shrimp, and they usually do a meat with
what
a roll.
Was it, the catfish dip that year that was so good?
Yes, smoked catfish dip.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something I never would thought about cooking at Christmas. I'm not going to smoke catfish anyway. Catfish supposed to be fried, but I don't know. It's just neat to see that. And like their meat and cheese board was nothing special, but they done what we said. They had rosemary, they had some apples out there. And I mean, simple garnish, edible garnish at that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And charcuterie board is something you can assemble, put saran wrap on it, put it in the fridge, and, get to doing other stuff.
I think
so. It's a really good thing to serve.
How would you recommend traveling with that? Like, would you say just cut everything up, have it in individual Ziplocs, and build it when you get there?
Yes. I have used cake boxes. I did something at your house, and I used cake boxes and built charcuterie boards in the cake boxes, and then just kind of pulled them out of there.
Yeah, slide with them. That would be good.
So you could do that. But don't leave spots for your little bowls and your, and assemble that there.
How do you know how to lay one out? Because that's an art to that.
You just start.
Because like I've tried to do it, mine are too, Emily always tells me they're too perfect.
Yeah.
Like you got to be messy about it.
You do. It needs to have that rustic look.
Yeah.
You just start with whatever you got and kind of start building.
Because me, I'm lining my cheese up all perfect and like, it don't look good. Like, just pile that cheese up. Put you a bowl beside it with some olives in it. Pile you some more cheese up. But it is like, you look at some of these people online, like that's become big as like charcuterie to go people, you know, and they're beautiful. Like, they do an excellent job, but
they're expensive.
They are. But that's a lot of.
It's expensive to just build one yourself.
What's the hack for charcuterie boards?
Aldi.
So if you've never been to Aldi, I was not against it, but I was like, I'm not going to Aldi. Like, what is
Oh, you used to make fun of us.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all going to Aldi
Yeah,
again?
get those scratch and dent special. But you can go there. And we've done it. Go to Walmart or Kroger and buy everything for a 9 by 11 or whatever, normal small charcuterie board. You're going to spend $100.
Yes.
Easily. Go to Aldi, you'll spend 30. And
it's just as good.
It's just as good. Some of the cheeses are better.
Trader Joe's kind of, and they're similar to Aldi, but they have a lot of stuff, kind of same thing. You can get it better prices.
Yeah.
Sam's is a great spot if you're doing a big charcuterie, you know. It's a charcuterie for 40, not a charcuterie for 12.
We done one last year, and I pulled out my biggest cutting board, one I got from, what is the store down in Texas? Had the TV show. You know what it is.
No, I don't.
Is it Chip and Johnny Gaines' place?
Oh, Magnolia.
Yeah. We went down there and I bought a cutting board, and it's bigger than this table. It's pretty good size, and we loaded it up. It was like $300. By the time you bought olives, cheeses, all the cured meats, we put grapes and fruit. You know, I mean, it was a spread. Huge. We get it all set up, set it on the counter, and Gus is a big dog. He just goes over and lays his head on the counter and wipes out one whole side of it in just one pass. So, yeah, that was $75 worth of salami. He just
What'd you
wolfed
do
out.
with the rest of it?
Man, we're in Mississippi. I scooted that stuff over, made it look full again. That's just extra juicy cheese. Don't mind that slobber. Like, it's all right.
Don't eat at Mark's house.
Yeah. I don't have cats. I'm good. You can eat at my house. Dog hair stays on the ground. Cat hair floats everywhere. Do you consider sliders? What are they considered?
Well, those ham and cheese biscuits, I know everybody calls them biscuits, but they're kind of sliders. Yeah. I think sliders can be fancy party food, and I think it could be football party food, you know?
Yeah. To me,
food.
I like sliders, but there's a thin line between a great slider and a terrible slider.
Yeah, they get greasy.
There's no in between on sliders. Like, you don't have, that was a good slider. Like, dang, that was a good slider. That was freaking dry and it sucked.
Yeah.
You know, I don't make them for that reason, because they can easily go south.
So when you do sliders, are you talking about taking, you know, like a pack of Hawaiian rolls or something? Or are you talking about actually slider bun?
We always use the Hawaiian rolls because they're good and they're easy. And now you can get them already split to where you don't even have to cut them. So it don't get any easier. Stack cheese on it. And
everybody loves the Hawaiian rolls.
What are we missing?
We talked about some meats. So what are your meat options? We talked about loins. We talked about possible tri-tip.
I mean, I think I'm kind of like you. I think for Christmas, for a nice dinner or even a get-together party, you got to have beef.
Yeah, you got to have a beef. And you can do chicken or pork.
Yeah, you can do chicken or pork.
Yeah.
I feel like pork's a little nicer than chicken. Because, I mean, what are you going to do with chicken?
It's hard to serve chicken in an appetizer or, you know, buffet style setting, unless you're doing pulled chicken.
Don't show up to no Christmas party with some old nasty buffalo chicken dip that you done baked out of a can.
Oh, out of a can.
Yeah.
Okay, that's because I love buffalo chicken.
I love it too. But you can tell that old white, just off-white chicken meat, and it tastes like feet. Nope, I can't do it. Like, get a rotisserie chicken. And we've used that. Like, that's something else to think about, like, as far as prepping. A rotisserie chicken is your lifesaver on all, like, anything appetizer-wise.
I can't tell you how many times we've used rotisserie chickens for different events.
That deal in Oxford. I don't know how many chickens we pulled, but it was a lot of rotisserie chickens that day.
It was cheaper than us cooking them ourselves.
Yeah. And they're good.
They're good.
They don't miss.
Yeah.
Like, I've never got one, like, unless I got it and it's been sitting under that bowl for 2 days, but it's still good. You know?
But you go to Sam's, get some hot, fresh rotisserie
Stand in that line.
Yeah.
I've never understood that.
They're good.
You go there at 9:15. There's a line to the front of the store waiting on freaking rotisserie chickens. Like, barbecue restaurants need to figure out the math.
I know.
Because Sam's is kicking all y'all's butts.
And they're $6. So.
Yeah. That's a lot of it. It's cheap and easy and it's good.
So what are some sides that if you show up at a party you're like, nope. My first thought was, have you ever seen it's like a pickle wrapped in cream cheese, wrapped in like sandwich meat? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
but I'm all over
It's
that.
Like, oh, you like that?
Anything with the pickle. Don't show up with no 7-layer salad.
I love 7-layer
I'm going
salad.
the other way.
The one it's got like a layer of ranch in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I love 7-layer.
that's another one that's either great or makes me want to lean over the garbage can.
Yeah.
We had one last year at our Christmas party, and I'm going to say it. They showed it with this thing, and I promise you, I love mayonnaise. I'm right there with you. This had to have a gallon of some kind of cheap, clobbered up mayonnaise on the top with English peas mixed in with it. And I'm like, nope.
I keep the English peas out of my 7-layer
like
salad.
Boogers. You can't have them in there. They're terrible. They're not good.
You know something we tried, and it was going viral around TikTok or whatever, but it was like club crackers, and you wrap bacon around it and maybe season it some way. And everybody said how good they were, and we tried them, and I was like, this kind of sucks.
I've had them.
Maybe we did them wrong. I don't know.
I've had them both. Like, I've had them where I was like, that's pretty good. But I've had them where I was like, the cracker gets chewy.
Yeah, that's how it was.
But what I noticed was if it's a leaner bacon with all the more expensive bacon, they suck. But if you get that old cheap bacon where it renders all that fat, they're pretty good. It's almost like a greasy crouton.
Yeah.
But they're good. But I know what you're talking about. Like, if it's got that thick bacon on it, to me, they're just chewy.
Maybe I didn't put enough bacon. I don't know, but I was like, this is not that good. And, but something I did see that I do want to try is, I saw somebody take a slice of prosciutto, and I think you'd like this. Prosciutto, put a little boursin in it, wrap it up, and then they put something on top and baked it, and then had a dipping sauce. Yes.
That had to be good.
Yes, it looks so good.
I don't want to see smoked shotgun shells.
No.
I don't care what time of year it is.
It's hard to eat those, you know?
The noodles are never done. They're always...
What about cocktail weenies? You get some down.
You got to have some cocktail weenies at your party.
Yeah.
It can't be a cocktail party without cocktail weenies.
Do you do grape jelly in your cocktail weenies?
So I've been told, because I've done a cocktail weenie recipe for Boat Junkies, and they jumped all over me in the comments because I didn't put jelly in it.
What'd you put?
Barbecue sauces.
And that was it?
It was barbecue. It was barbecue sauce, vinegar sauce, diced onions, and then I think Fireball.
Oh, okay. I remember that one now.
So, I mean, it was good, but I think you got to have I see where people say like the jelly makes it thick and sticky, and like a lot of your barbecue sauces won't, but you don't have to do grape jelly. You do pepper jelly, do whatever you want to.
And you could have made like a cornstarch slurry and added it to it and let it kind of thicken that sauce if you wanted to.
Because I did notice like not using a jelly or honey or something like it didn't want to, the weenies absorb the flavor, but it didn't want to stick to it.
Yes.
You know, you got to have
done
that
it before,
stickiness.
Yeah. What about Rotel? Is Rotel, because around here, in the South at least, Rotel is brought to every event.
I think we keep Rotel in business. I think Rotel is...
Which just is cheese dip.
Cheese dip.
It's cheese dip, yeah.
You got to have some meat. Like Christmas time, you splurge a little bit and either you put ground beef or pork sausage in your Rotel.
Keep the ground beef out. It doesn't give enough flavor. Sausage is where...
I love ground beef.
You like the ground beef one? I want the sausage one.
But I like burnt ground beef in it.
What?
Like... You hard fry it in a skillet, like get it done and just let it keep cooking.
Kind of like the outside of a smash burger.
Yeah, where it gets crispy. Yeah. I'll do that with my sausage too, like overcook the sausage and get it crispy. And then when you put it in there, a lot of times it'll rehydrate with whatever you're putting it in. But I don't know if I would call for the family Christmas, yes, 100% we're having Rotel. But for a fancy Christmas, like a fancy dinner,
we're keeping it a little fancy.
We might put it on fries and call it fancy. You know, we could do Rotel fries.
Do you serve fries at fancy dinner parties?
Truffle fries? Heck yeah.
I can see truffle fries working. My problem with that is they're only good for, you pull them out of the grease, truffle them up.
You got a 15-minute window to eat them fries.
15-minute window to eat those fries.
Otherwise, they're not good.
And to me, party food is something that needs to be set out for a little bit and, graze. You want to graze.
So do you do your party in waves? Like Do you have all your appetizers sitting out before your guests get there? That way they can come in, fix them a drink, have all that.
If you're talking like dinner party or dinner, yeah, definitely.
So how do you enjoy the party and transition from appetizer to without just working your tail off? Like, what are some good pointers or what are some ways to go about that?
Martinis? I don't know. Jack Daniels.
Just knock the edge off. Well, I mean, that is the thing is like, I always try, and this is another thing, is like plan ahead to where, yes, you're hosting the party, but you're never going to want to host again if you don't get to enjoy the party.
Yes. And this is where the work comes in ahead of time. Like your serving dishes, yeah, you can't mix a lot of stuff up the day before, but you can pull out your serving platters and figure out how you're going to serve and get all that done. Because if you wait till the last minute, you've got stuff in the oven, you got stuff you need to slice up and stuff. You don't want to be messing with that. So go ahead and have your plan of attack for serving down. Go ahead and get your napkins and your forks and all that stuff kind of ready to go. And then do as much prep as you possibly can.
Do you draw a plate map? You have.
Before.
You have. And that's not a bad idea. No. Because if you're having to put all this food out, you got to make it flow. And women are better at that than men any day.
Like, I realize I have a problem, but have you ever gone to somebody's house and like the dip's over here, the chips over here?
You're probably talking about my house.
Not yours, but everything's just chaos and there's spoons over here. It makes my brain itch. I want to put everything in a nice little line so that.
All right, I'm going to get you back on this.
Why?
Because women, it's a new thing. And I want to know why. You go to camp. The paper towels are not by the sink.
Me?
Yeah. It's on the opposite side of the kitchen.
Yeah, but that's over in the corner. Paper towel's supposed to go in the corner.
Yeah, but there's no water over there.
In the middle. That's true. Move them.
You would move them back. They wouldn't make it there 20 minutes.
Well, see, that comes down to it's got to look good, and then it's got to be practical.
Yeah, see, no. You got to, and we're just as bad, which look, ours is by our hand wash sink. But I never use our hand wash sink. I always use the big sink, and the paper towels aren't by it. And I'm like, this drives me nuts. Y'all want to lay out a line for food, but y'all can't even put paper towels by the sink. Like, it's killing me. But that is something to think about is like, do you start with your silverware, your plates, your napkins.
Mm-hmm. That should be at the front.
Front. Is your sides first?
Definitely.
And then the meat's finished?
If we're talking about dinner, yes. You start off with and this is a catering thing. And this is just how caterers do it. And they do it for cost reasons mostly. But you start off with your cheapest sides. You start off with the lesser sides. Then you work up to the big, fancy, expensive sides. And then you go to your meats. And you have your breads kind of sprinkled out. And then you always put napkins at the end too. Because somebody's always going to need napkins at the end of the line.
Yeah. Because or like me, I always forget my silverware. Yeah. I get the plate. And I'm like, crap, I didn't get this.
And then you got to get back in line. Yeah.
And then I think you got to have a separate drink station, completely separate, maybe two, depending on how big your party is.
Yeah, because you don't want people trying to make a drink getting in the way of the food line and stuff. Right.
What are your drinks you're going to serve? You got to have, in the South, you got to have your teas, got to have your waters.
Are we talking family? Or are we talking
both.
Like a party? Okay.
Like, I feel like either or, like for us, my family's not a big drinker or anything like that. So we don't have a ton of drinks or anything like that. But like we still try to separate the water from like, say, the diet drinks or whatever, the teas.
I agree. You got your teas and then you get your water, maybe some sodas for the kids or whatever.
The biggest thing that I think we always forget until the day of is ice. Like everybody's like, hey, can you stop and get ice on the way? Like you're going to get that call at Christmas. And if you're the ice person, your food sucks.
You want to be the champion? Just go ahead and swing through and pick up a bag of ice.
Just pick up the ice. You'll get the brownie points.
Yeah.
They won't ask you to make food. Just bring the ice.
Every event I've ever done, I mean, as many times as we've done events.
We've done events up here and had to send Jacob or Tyler, one of them, like, hey,
crap.
run out and grab some ice. But it could be like, that could be the make or break of the party. If you run out of ice, you're done. I don't care how good that prime rib is.
Yeah. But I feel if we're talking drinks, I feel like, because I know a little something.
That's your cup of tea, and it's not tea.
But for like the family events, you got your tea, water, soda, maybe a lemonade or something. Or at Christmas time, we do a sherbet punch. It's just a tradition, you know. But for a party, I always make a sangria or something like that. And then we might make a whiskey punch
Yeah.
too. And then you got your regular bar.
They
But
they done a punch, and I think they called it slushy punch or slushy something. But they make the punch and they freeze the whole ball of it. And Shelly's mama got over with the ice pick and just went to town and made a big bowl of slush. And like, it was like a icy. I forget what they call it. It was so good.
What did it have?
It didn't have booze in it.
Okay.
They had the booze sitting beside if you needed to top it, but it was just regular. But as the party went on, it stayed cold because it was so much ice in there, and it never would melt. Like, it stayed slushy for hours. And we'd go over and get you a little slush, whatever it was, slushy juice. I don't know what they called it, but it was good.
It's like with the sherbet punch.
Yeah.
It just keeps floating and
Everybody
keeping
has a
everything
different punch recipe, but they all taste the same.
yeah.
Like, everybody has different ingredients, but you go there and they all taste like that wedding punch everybody grew up drinking.
That's exactly what this is, that old school wedding punch.
Yep.
And you better buy your sherbet now because they won't have it
They'll be
come
out.
Christmas. Yeah.
All right, Chelle, we're going to wrap it up, but I want you to lay out the perfect Christmas dinner, start to finish. Like, give me, if you was going to somebody's party.
If I was going to somebody's
If
party?
you was going to somebody's party and you got in the vehicle at the end of the night, you looked at Malcolm and said, that was perfect. What would it look like?
Well, just off the top of my head, it's going to have some prime rib or like, you know, strip loin, or
A good cut of beef.
it's going to have a good cut of rare beef. You're going to have some sauces to go with that beef and some rolls. Then I want a couple good sides. One thing that we always put on our Christmas menu is a spinach gratin. It's like a hot spinach gratin.
We didn't think about that.
Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to mashed potatoes or mac and cheese, you know.
But they better be good.
They better be good. And I love like a green bean, but I don't want it in casserole form. I like the little bundles or sauteed, you know, green bean almondine or something like that.
We don't want them to squeak.
Yeah, you don't want them to
No
squeak,
squeaky green
but
beans.
you don't want them to be mushy either. It's a fine line. Maybe some asparagus, hollandaise, and then some really good apps, a good charcuterie board,
Shrimp cocktail.
a lot of good drinks.
Mushrooms. I think you got to have
Ooh,
mushrooms in there. If you're
mushrooms.
doing beef, you need, we cater a good many Christmas parties and we do prime rib for them. And I always try to I'll take that big roasting pot, fill it up with mushrooms, and that's where I make my au jus for the prime rib. So like, you can get mushrooms, or if you want the au jus out of the mushrooms, you just scoop it out over, and it kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah,
It's easy
that's
because
a
you
really
can make
good
it that
idea.
morning. You can't overcook a mushroom. Just let them cook all day.
Yeah.
Just let them go.
And we do them on the stovetop a lot, but you can put them in a crock pot and they're just as good. So they stay warm. And
Yeah.
stuffed mushrooms, that's a great
Man,
appetizer.
what was it we had what was that? We had stuffed mushrooms somewhere.
Recently?
Yeah. Or one of these past Christmases.
Yeah.
I say recently. But what was it?
Was that?
I thought did y'all make them? It was stuff like a dressing or
Yeah.
like a boudin stuffing or something.
Oh, yeah. Malcolm has done that before.
They were so good. That's what I was remembering there.
The only problem is that one requires a lot of prep. It's a lot of work,
A lot of time.
but you can prep it day before and, you know, all you do is bake.
This is backing up, but I think this is a cool story to finish this podcast with, and you'll get a kick out of it. So, my grandmother passed away in July. To show you how tough this old bird was, did Jamie tell you this already?
Mhm.
Well, for whoever doesn't know, before she passed away, she made dressing.
And how old was she? She was 96?
96. She made dressing back earlier in the year and froze it just so we could have her dressing. And I was like, we need to just spoon out a corner, freeze it, add it to next year's, and we just keep this baby going. But
Malcolm thought that was the coolest thing.
it was awesome. And I didn't even get to get any. I missed it,
He was like, before I die, I'm cooking all kinds of stuff to put in the freezer.
Be a whole hog in
Yeah,
there.
I'm going to put a brisket in there.
But anything else you got?
Yeah, plan, make lists, prep,
Plan some more.
and plan some more, yeah. And do
And
as much as you possibly. It's
Yeah.
going to take you way longer to do all the stuff.
And you're going to get better at it.
Anything.
The first year we hosted my family's Christmas, I was stressed out. It was pure chaos. Everybody loved it, but I didn't get to enjoy it. So do anything you can to where you can enjoy your party.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. Don't worry. Everybody else is going to have a good time. Don't worry about the crowd. They're going to be great.
Yeah.
You just enjoy it.
I feel like once you get it kind of cooked and set out and done and folks show up, then it's kind of like everything's, if you plan right and prep right, everything's downhill from that point.
And if you attend a Christmas party and you see the owner of the household keep going out back, it's because he's stressed out of his mind. Go out there and just pat him on the back and say, it's great. Give him a little booster, Because you'll usually see either the husband or wife, if they smoke, they're probably going out there in the backyard smoking cigarettes because they're about to die.
Getting them a nip.
Yeah. Something's going on. You need to go check on them. But Chelle, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of kicking off something we're all new to, and
it's great.
It's going to be a good time.
Great.
It is. Yeah. It's not bad for a couple of rednecks back here. We can kind of make something come together. But you want to tell them where they can find you?
It's Miss Southern Chelle on Instagram and TikTok, even though I never post.
I caught you off guard with that. You're not used to that either, are you? I got my brother Jamie Williams here. He is the other partner in Swine Life Barbecue. He's the behind the scenes guy, and we're going to get in here and talk a little bit about the main courses and good eats at a Christmas holiday party. So, Jamie, how's it going?
Man, y'all got it like Christmas in here. It's like
it's pretty much cold up in here today.
It's iceberg in here.
We built this room to be like really good soundproof, but it pretty much as cold as icicles in here.
It's cold today.
So, I guess to kick this off, me and Jamie started cooking in we started competing in 2013.
Yep.
And kind of just got passionate about cooking. And we kind of the backstory to us, and I'll let you tell a little bit kind of how you got involved in it. But our dad kind of got into the deal. He was retiring and wanted to cater and cook for a lot of people. So we had all the equipment. So we got into competing, and it kind of snowballed from there. And now you look 10 years later, we both work for HowToBBQRight and sell barbecue rubs for a living and have a good time doing it.
Pretty much barbecue every day now.
We
don't eat as much, but we got
we still cook a lot. But, a little back history of you, or kind of how it goes with you, or what your story is?
So on the barbecue side,
yeah.
I'm not a diehard chef like you and Malcolm, I guess you'd say.
I wouldn't call us a chef at all.
I'm the basic guy. We started cooking. I've always liked cooking, and I guess with the comp thing kind of changed things up as far as like even how you cook at home.
Yeah.
Not the same, but it's like, man, I was probably overcooking the crap out of stuff, and luckily I didn't die of food poisoning on some undercooked chicken.
All did.
But yeah,
you cook chicken till it quits getting juice running out of it, and it was probably 200 and dry as a cob. But we've learned a little bit since then.
I love winning, I love competing, but the friendship side of it that we've met, I look forward to seeing people at contests just as much as I like competing at the contest.
The fellowship definitely goes back. We talk about that all the time when we're on podcasts or doing YouTube videos. It's a lot of it's the fellowship, a lot of it's the people you meet, and we've catered a lot, and that's going to kind of get us kicked off into what we're doing today. But we've had the opportunity to cater for some of the biggest names in the business, and we've met some awesome folks through catering that we never would have met if it was not for barbecue.
We've done everything from I talk a lot about the Arca Butler Physically Challenged Hunt. We've done everything from disabled hunter stuff all the way to John Force race team.
Cooking for drag teams.
We've done it. We've been blessed to meet a lot of cool people and be a lot of cool locations.
And that kind of goes back into the whole OutTheSmoke deal is, we want to be able to capture other stories outside of just competing and cooking, because there's so much more to it. We've all grew up around a cooker, either our dads or our moms or somebody got out there and cooked barbecue or cooked a hamburger as a kid. So regardless of where you come from in this world, it all ties back to cooking, in my opinion. But I guess first thing off, we're talking about the holidays, we're talking about Christmas, and I'm a big host. I like hosting Christmas parties. I like hosting get-togethers, and there's a lot of things that go into that a lot of times people don't think about. I can cook a ham for a get-together, but that ain't what makes, to me, a Christmas party a Christmas party.
So I think now more people are getting away from the so-called traditional turkey and dressing, Thanksgiving and turkey and dressing, or ham and dressing, or whatever at Christmas, and getting into more of a, I guess people are getting on their back porch and doing more cooking, and it's just, I don't know, it's just transitioned a lot from 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, to now what the average guy cooks for his family on holidays.
Well, you're kind of in the same boat as me. Is both our family and our wives' families, both are pretty big. So come to Thanksgiving and Christmas, we probably do, I don't know how many parties we go to, but
I guess it'd be overwhelming at this house, that house, and get there by 4:00 and this one by 2:00. And then
you try to look like you're still hungry by the time you get to the last one, and
you're done.
Nothing. But we've catered a lot, and I want to kind of get into some things and talk about, different Christmas parties we've catered for and different menus we've done. Cause I mean, we've done the standard ham and turkey, like everybody's done that. But what are some of the ones that sticks out to you as far as Christmas parties we catered, whether it be in, for a company, if it's for a family, if it's just us hanging out, like what are some things we've cooked that stuck out?
Man, it's hard to beat a beef loin.
Yeah. I kind of figured that's where you was going with that.
Man, we've done some fantastic briskets, and I don't know, beef seems to be our go-to main course.
Well, to me, beef
protein.
is, you're able to make it a little nicer. You're able to make it to where it's more of a,
kind of like a higher end product.
Not like fine dining. Like we're not about to do no white tablecloth, but to me, like beef is a nicer way to present. I mean, cause you can do, like you say, you can do a beef loin, you can do a standing rib roast. We done a shoulder clod one year that was freaking awesome. So like beef, you can do so much with, and it's just, and there's so many different cuts. I mean,
And
you don't have to
wrong,
do just the beef loin.
I love a good ham.
Yeah.
But you ain't gonna get somebody to walk away from a Christmas or Thanksgiving. Man, that ham was good.
I don't know now.
But what I'm saying is,
If you had it laying beside a beef loin.
oh yeah, I'm beef loin
Yeah,
all
beef
day
loin
long.
all day. And I guess we've done steaks. We done 80 something ribeyes last year.
Yeah, 80 ribeyes, 80 baked potatoes.
So, I
It was a
mean,
full
we've
course
done
meal.
big cooks with beef, and it does get tricky because everybody can cook 1 or 2 steaks very well. But when you start cooking 80 or cooking for your Christmas party where you got 20 people there.
I mean, it's easy to get 80 overcooked steak.
Yeah.
But 80
perfect gets tricky.
it was a challenge.
So what would have been your, I guess, kind of going back to it, like we've catered hog for Christmas. You're saying beef loin hands down, but I might have to lean toward, I'm more of a, like, yes, beef loin's good, but man, when you do like crab legs or something outside of the norm, to me, that's like a pop of freshness. Cause everybody's, at least around us, like we're going to have beef loin, we're going to have turkey, we're going to have ham, but man, seafood, like a good shrimp cocktail, or you even make that shrimp dip, like something different on the menu to me sticks out more than anything.
See, to me, that goes along more of a appetizer kind of,
Yeah.
or a side dish, which, man, the older I get, the more I like the side dishes more than I do
the phone was going to ring. It never fails.
It clicks to my watch. But anyway, the side dish is kind of like my standout thing. I'd rather go eat 10 different appetizers and I have one turkey and
that was
dressing.
another thing is like we're pretty good about doing, I guess you call them, I guess, like not finger foods, like a little bit up from finger foods. But I mean, even the beef loin can fall under that, like something that a guest can walk by at your house, fix a little small plate, walk around, still get to socialize and visit, but still have a good meal. It's not a sit down around a table with 6 other, 20 other, whatever, how many people at your party. It's more kind of a social deal.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So with that, again, we've cooked for our families. We've cooked at contests. What would you say is the difference that you have adapted over the years from cooking for a catering event and cooking at home? Like, is there any extra steps you take to make sure that catering event is a no miss, that it's good? Like, what are some things that you do different from at home? Because you can always fix things at home, but when you're catering for 100 people, you try to make it to where at least 90 of them thinks that's one of the best meals in their life.
Oh, that's the main goal. If I screw up and it's my wife and daughter, I can kind of get by with it. But if I got 50 people standing there that we done, got everything lined up to cater to them, I want it to be top notch. And I don't know. I guess you take a little bit extra care, or, stay focused more on your time and your cook temp and everything, the whole 9 yards to make it, try to stand out and let them, like, man, whoever cooked that last year, I want them to do it this year kind of deal.
I guess one of the biggest things I'd throw to that would be allow plenty of time. That's the biggest thing is like, your Christmas party's going to start at 5. Well, I want this beef loin to be done at 5:15. Well,
yeah, don't cut it that close.
It ain't always the case.
Worst. I'm the world's worst at doing that. But yeah, I agree. Man, we done learned over the years. You can hold.
If you take anything from this podcast, realize that beef or turkey, anything, hold it. Like a prime rib, I'll hold it 3 or 4 hours. Take it to 125, let it rest, wrap it up good in a dry cooler, and just let it hang out. And to me, the longer it hangs out, the better it gets.
I agree.
I mean, we learned that. What was it? Tri-tips we held that one time. Like we cooked tri-tips and held them for 4 hours.
Yeah, 3.5, 4 hours.
And then once we got to the catering event, we just seared them off right there on a little gas burner. And they were some of the best tri-tips I've ever had.
No, you'll learn. It's like, I don't know if we get it caught up in the head. You want everybody to have this hot, fresh meal as soon as they get there. And then something goes haywire and you're
screwed.
30 minutes behind. And then you look like you don't know what you're doing. So,
well, then you get in the panic mode. It snowballs from there.
Yeah.
And I'm a big advocate of the best products you'll ever eat or the best products you ever serve is not the recipe's fault. It's just because you allow the time to where if something does go wrong, you got time to fix it. You know, we preach that at contests. You know, it's not the best recipe or best cook that day. It's going to be who can fix a screw up the best, because everybody's going to screw up at some point or another. It's going to happen.
Yeah, whether it's something wrong with the grill or the weather, or you just flat up just get behind on everything, because every product, you can cook a beef loin today and a beef loin tomorrow, and they're both not going to cook and finish the same. No. You got to allow a couple of minutes or whatever extra on it.
So we grew up, I guess, Jamie, you're 14 years older than me.
14 years older.
I was an accident, probably not a happy accident when I showed up in the picture, but we grew up, our family, our dad especially, he didn't season anything.
I mean, if he did, it was Lowry seasoning salt.
Maybe.
That was the go-to.
And it might have been a teaspoon for a whole thing. Like we grew up on bland food. Bad as I hate to say it. Like grilled pork chops were not what they are now for us.
We didn't know it. I mean, we thought they were good.
But what would be something like I know mine, I think. I'll have to think on it while you're answering. But like when we grew up as kids, I would say Christmas at our house was huge. Christmas Eve at Mom and Daddy's was 65, 70 people there.
Every year.
And it was a hodgepodge of every potluck you can think of. What was the favorite thing that stood out? If you could have it, like if you had to have it every year.
Man, I don't know.
Because I know what I wouldn't pick. And that old watered down, which this isn't a main course, but that old watered down fruit salad that some old lady brought every year, I could not stand.
My grandmother loved that, though.
I could not stand it. But we didn't have prime rib. We didn't have.
No, we was old school, basic.
Yeah.
Ham, turkey, dressing, and
every now and then, like maybe Uncle Jimmy would do like a hind quarter off a deer or something, or somebody would do something like that stood out. But we were pretty basic. I mean, it was old school Christmas.
See, I always enjoyed Christmas Day breakfast with us.
Yeah.
Just because, man, nobody's ever heard of melted cheese.
Yeah.
I think we invented that, but to me, the breakfast was my thing I remember more than anything.
So for anybody listening that does not know what you mean by melted cheese.
So
what is melted cheese besides melted cheese?
It sounds so simple. And then again, everybody's like blown away by it. But you just get a block of cheese, cut it up in cubes, put it on a non-stick pan, poke it in the oven, let it melt down. And if you buy a higher end cheese, ain't gonna put off as much oil. Cheaper cheese will, but
get greasy. Yeah,
just pat that oil off the top. And something about melted cheese on a biscuit, I don't really know how to explain.
So we've cooked this for people all the time.
Oh yeah, one of my best friends, Michael Lehman, he's never heard of melted cheese, and I think we was at Gatlinburg on vacation with them, and I did melted cheese, and I think he pretty much does that now.
Yeah. I know this is definitely off subject because we're trying to talk about main course stuff, but y'all don't sleep on the melted cheese because
sharp cheddar,
yeah. Which I like the old Colby Jack, the
mix.
Not
bad.
But it's something different, and it goes good. And man, you put it on a biscuit, you put it on your egg. Our grandmother would always eat sugar.
She always get a little teaspoon. She sprinkled sugar on hers, and
that sounds weird.
It's actually pretty dang good.
It's dang good. You just think about what's a cheesecake? It's sugar and technically cream cheese, which is cheese. I mean, but it was solid. But I was very grateful once we got old enough to get involved in cooking for the family and get involved in like cooking different dishes that like. I feel like because of what we're into, we brought kind of a fresh take on Christmas at our house. Because I can remember it, like you say, it was standard dressing, ham, old dry turkey.
I hate turkey like that.
Oh, man, turkey, it'll ruin you. But I guess growing up, one of the first things I remember that was different outside the norm was the first time we ever fried a turkey at Christmas. We done it at Thanksgiving, and I remember Heck, Jeremy Mitchell was the first one that fried one. I'm pretty certain.
Yeah, our cousin Jeremy done a fried. I'm pretty sure it was him done a fried turkey, and then Daddy's done. That's been a long time ago, but he done the barbecue deer shoulder.
Yeah. And I mean, that was kind of different for us. That was
way outside the box from what
we do now.
Yeah.
So it was a learning curve for us, because once we got old enough to cook and we started doing things, I remember the first time we done something besides a standard, Christmas at our house. We done a whole pork shoulder, which I think was probably right after the first year we cooked with Malcolm and them at Memphis and May.
Yeah, I think it was.
We kind of cut our teeth.
We thought we knew what we was doing.
We thought we knew what we was doing, and we cooked 2 whole pork shoulders, smoked them overnight, and that was completely different for us. And it was dang good. And then I remember that too, specifically. That Christmas there we had it under the carport outside because it was 80 degrees.
Yeah, 80 degrees at Christmas.
But that was kind of what kicked it off for us as far as breaking the habit of normal Christmas food, I feel like.
Man, you did a 72-hour brisket. It was pretty much on point too.
So that's something else. Like, don't think it's just prime rib. If you want to do the medium rare beef, which I still have my sous vide, but we done I think it was like a 14 or 15 pound brisket. It was pretty good size. Trimmed it down, vacuum sealed it just like you would with, butter, rosemary, garlic, onions, just like you would a prime rib, and threw it in the sous vide for, no joke, 72 hours, and took it to 130. Well, it was 131. So that's the biggest thing. If you're going to do that long in a sous vide, you've got to be above 130. If you're going longer than 4 hours, and we've took this in the food safety cert class, longer than 4 hours, you got to be above 130. So I done like 132 or 131, try to give you a cushion. It was still perfect medium rare. Took it out of that cryovac. Of course, it's ugly as sin.
Yeah, so it's great looking meat. It ain't pretty.
It's ugly. And we grilled it just like a steak and then sliced it. And we had brisket that was medium rare, that was tender as a filet. And it was an excellent bite. I mean, that was something different that caught everybody off guard, and it was something new and, for us to try. And then I guess you'd say after that, we started doing more pork loins. I never done prime ribs at Christmas really until here recently.
Yeah.
And
we've done a couple of, you done the beef loin a couple times. We've done that a couple times. Man, it's just hard to, I don't know. To me, it's hard to beat just any kind of beef.
Yeah. I guess with the prime rib too, something to think about when you're cooking for the masses. If it's your close family, it's one thing, but if you're cooking for 30 different people and so's inviting so-and-so, the thing about a prime rib is not everybody likes it.
Yeah.
Medium rare.
Because they're rare.
Yeah. And then so that's something to think about. Good thing about a beef loin is you can cook that beef loin medium rare. Then you got the trimmings, the chain, and the head off that loin that you could cook to medium well and kind of fit that people that really don't like good
It almost
meat.
seems like that, and maybe wrong, but like the old school holiday recipes seem like to me 90% of the time it's the women in the kitchen doing it. Now the men are stepping up, and you get outside, do it on the grill, get outside, do it on your smoker, you deep fry the turkey, anything that's different than traditional. It just gives you opportunity to get out of the house and do it.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it too goes back to, look how bad as I hate to bring this up, is COVID. Look how much that affected the cooking industry, because we were right in the middle of it. So people realize, hey, we can cook pretty good stuff at home, especially with pellet grills now, and you got so many other, outdoor cooking appliances that are so much easier to use. It does give you opportunity to get out there more and, try different things. So I would say this year, I'm going to do it different. Because, I'm tempted to do a hog this year for Christmas. We've done it once before, and I'm not going to say it was our best hog. We were learning.
No, so we done definitely.
We've screwed up some hogs.
It wasn't bad, but we definitely done improved what we final product ended up in.
And I'm going to say, we'll do that a little different. But I guess the main deal is, if you was going to tell somebody this first time you're going to host. So I was there. If I remember the first time we hosted at our house, and I was a nervous wreck. First time that you're hosting at your house, what are some pointers to do to prep before that weekend or before that day?
Granted, if you're doing a hog, you can't or it's not feasible to practice. But if you're doing something like a shoulder, a port loin, a prime rib, or brisket, man, get out there a couple weeks ahead of time and
cook one.
Yeah, do a practice cook and just see. I mean, get your time frame nailed out. Like, man, wish I'd have done it with this season. I wish I'd done it that season or whatever, and just kind of get you a ahead of the game plan going.
Prepping is key because, again, you want to do as much of this ahead of time to where on the day of you still get to enjoy the holiday. And I think that's where a lot of people make mistakes is they do no prep work because they don't think they have to. And then Christmas Eve shows up, you got everybody coming at your house at 5 o'clock and you're working your butt off all day to not enjoy. You don't get to enjoy it.
I mean, think about it is now there's so many different outlets you can go to from, if you got a pellet grill, there's tons and tons of YouTube videos to go to tell you exactly how to do it on pellet grill. Or if you got charcoal, exactly how you do it on charcoal. If you ain't never cooked a brisket, you can find a jam up good brisket recipe or whatever that's going to work for what you got to cook with.
So again, like we're saying, prep work before the day of time. If you would recommend, what would be the protein you recommend for that first timer? A don't miss. Something that is, I mean, that's another thing. It's like somebody that's never cooked a prime rib. I'm not going to say go buy a $200 prime rib and take. Now, granted, once you get over the intimidation factor of it, it's easy. There's nothing to it. But it's the same sense I've been there where the first time I ever bought a Wagyu brisket, I'm like, man, I'm just going to screw this
first time
up.
I cooked a brisket for a Christmas thing, I thought I'd messed the whole world up, but which I probably did. But
so tell us about that.
That was, man, it's been.
That was 2013 or 2014.
Yeah, we just
realized, we just learned what phosphates were.
Yeah, so I'd only cook a handful of briskets by myself, or very few by myself, really. And so I was doing a little Christmas party deal. I'm like, well, man, I know what it tastes like at a contest, and we use phosphates at a contest, we injection at a contest. I'm like, well, if X amount of ounces is good at a contest, if I put more in it, man, it's got to be better. So that's what I did, and it tastes great. But I mean, talking about like 2 bites and your insides were hurting.
So if you don't know what phosphates are, they are in most commercial injections. We use them in contests, and it's basically a chemical powder substance that retains moisture. The molecules in phosphates attach to water molecules and hold the water or the moisture in the protein. So we use it in contests for that exact reason. But the thing about it, there's 2 things to think about when you're using phosphates. They're going to add more moisture. That phosphate cannot be good for you.
No, it can't be. And we was using it. I mean, we was using it all the time.
Yeah. And it makes it super rich. And it is good. Don't get me wrong.
In a contest, you got to realize the judge is getting one little bite. And man, if you're feeding somebody Thanksgiving, Christmas, they want to sit down and eat. And so that just threw the whole wrench in that whole plan.
Which we used it to our advantage because we were cooking, what did we cook? 3 briskets? Maybe, or 2.
I think it was 2 briskets, and it was, man, it's probably 60 or 80 people.
Yeah, we're supposed to feed a bunch of people. So we kind of knew a little bit about phosphates, what they did. So our take on that was make them rich, make it where it goes further. They don't eat 10 slices. They'll eat 1 slice and they'll be full. But I mean, everybody raved about how good it was, but
yeah, they probably had stomach issues.
They probably all went and bought some Imodium after that because it'll get you. But
I almost want to say port loin, but a port loin's got a fine line the whole time.
So
a pork tenderloin,
you
got more forgiveness.
It's going to have a good texture, regardless if you overcook it or undercook it. And a pork tenderloin is easy enough to where you can go buy a pack of them, which most of them come 2 in a pack, I think.
Yeah, if you go to like Sam's, Costco, they're a double pack. Usually Kroger's a single pack, but Kroger run buy one, get one free, or buy one, half off or something like that. But
so you could go practice that relatively easy and get your recipe dialed in. The big loins, yes, you can feed, heck, some of them loins now you could feed 40 people off 1 loin. They're huge. But they do have a tendency, if you overcook them, they're going to be dry. And the texture is going to be grainy. It's not going to be perfect, but it's more budget-minded. And it's still, like, to me, a perfectly good port loin.
Port loin sliders, that's one of my
pretty
favorite.
Hard. I mean, it's a good one. It's not going to miss either.
And I would like to try, what is everybody's getting now? They're getting a ham and cooking it, shredded like a butt.
So you get already a cured smoked ham.
Yeah.
We double smoke them, which I got to cook here in a couple of weeks for Thanksgiving.
I just seen that out in the cooler.
Yeah. So you take a double smoke, or you take a smoked ham, and don't get the spiral slice one. Get a whole ham or half ham or shank ham or butt portion, whatever you want to call it. But you just don't want the one that's cut, and you just cook it like you do pulled pork. So I'm actually going to do this when I go to Indiana for Thanksgiving is we're going to take a ham with us and I'm going to cook it. And usually we take them to 145 and that's the smoked ham that everybody's used to. Holiday.
You're just warming it up pretty much.
It's already cooked, but you take the same ham and you push it on up to 175, 180, 190 and it's shred, pull apart tender. And it is good.
I've never had one. I've been seeing a lot of people on TikTok.
Delicious, but it's just it's a different take. And that's a good one. Cause you ain't going to mess up one of them hams.
No, simple.
I mean, as long as you buy a quality ham, I think Smithfield usually has a pretty good one. The ones we got out there are Hormel's, and they were really good last year. But, do a little research, see what's out there, and get you some different options, and don't be scared to practice a few. Cornish hens.
Yeah.
It's something that people sleep on that you don't see much about, but they're dang good.
Which we had some people in, me and you taught that guy last week coming to shop. So he's doing turkey, but he's not doing the whole turkey. A lot of people now are going just cooking. I mean, what do you eat off a turkey?
Breast.
You're going to eat the breast. So why? And you get a whole turkey breast, and man, it just seemed like I don't know if they just hold so much moisture different or you don't have to cook it as long and don't dry out as easy, but man, they're pretty daggum good.
The turkey breasts herself to me, I just don't like.
I'm not a turkey guy.
I like a turkey breast, but dark meat on a turkey is not as nearly as good as dark meat on chicken. Like to me, chicken thighs are light years better than old thigh on that turkey.
I can't. I'll eat turkey, but I'm not like. That's not my go-to. I pick a ham over turkey.
Yeah. I mean, to me, ham's definitely better. Which I don't know. Some of them big turkey breasts we get from down there at Kelvin,
that's different.
They're delicious, but that's another option. Instead of doing a regular turkey like you see everybody, I mean, get one of them big turkey breasts and treat it I've treated them like ribs. Like I've done barbecue rub on them.
Now we're not throwing it in the oven at 400 degrees for
you cook
14
it on
hours
a pellet grill. Cook it just like a rib. Put barbecue rub on it. 2 hours. You wrap it in butter, brown sugar, honey, and then take it to 160, and it's good now. You can't go wrong. So I'm all about the beef. Like if I'm gonna plan my Christmas party, we're not doing turkey. We're doing beef. And probably going to do some kind of seafood with it. Lay it out. If you were hosting, and you might be, we might do it all at your house this year. Who knows?
Probably not.
Probably not. If you're hosting, what is going to be the menu? Like no holds, the ultimate Christmas menu. What is it going to be? And I want to really focus on like the main entrees. I'm not worried about desserts. I'm not worried about appetizers. Your main deal that everybody's going to talk about. How would you do it?
Man, what did we cook for lamb construction last year? It was a
strip loin.
Oh, that was. I like it just good or better than the.
So that's a good point. So everybody talks about prime rib. I'd rather cook a strip loin.
I had too.
A prime rib's great. Like it is good, but in my opinion, you got to push a prime rib a little further than what people usually tend to say they do because they got so much fat. Like you got to render some of that fat in that ribeye. Whereas a strip loin, man, you pull it off at 120, slice it thin, it's rare, it's a little leaner, you got a good little fat cap on it.
And you got options on that. You can do just straight up steak on your plate with some homemade horseradish sauce. That's pretty much good. Or you can do the same thing, put it on a slider, and there's another option. But I'd say if I was doing, that's what it'd be.
You're going to do a strip loin?
Yep.
I'd either go strip loin if you're feeding more people, but if it's your close friends, beef loin. Tenderloin.
Yeah.
Because that's as long as you don't overcook a tenderloin, it's going to be good. Like as long as you got salt on it, don't overcook it. Take it to 120, pull it off. It's going to be good.
Man, I'm going to leave here and go to Primos and get me some fillets for supper.
I got to cook tonight too, so that's going to mess me up. We're supposed to be eating healthy this week, and that's probably going to throw a kink in it.
I mean, beef's healthy.
Yeah, but not butter and everything else. It adds up. So this year, we got to sit down and figure out what we're going to cook for Christmas. But I'm going to agree with you. Probably going to be a strip loin. If I do 2 proteins, it's going to have to be pork as another option. I've got to where I like doing the big loins and scoring them just like we do our butts, and then treat them kind of like a steak, but to offset it to make it completely different from the beef loin is I'll do like a spicy, like a honey gold or a spicy honey mustard sauce to go with the pork on the side, just to give you 2 options. You got the horseradish, you got the beef, and then you can do the pork and kind of break it up and just give people options. And that's the biggest thing is not everybody's going to like beef. I mean, I don't know why they
Yeah,
wouldn't,
something wrong,
but not everybody is. Like last year, matter of fact. And
well, our sister's worst thing, Elizabeth, she don't like all the rare side of the beef like we do. And that's, to me, man, that's where it's at.
Which last year, you brought up that Christmas party, we cooked the strip loins and we done a pork loin. And I done some of those ones we get from Primo, the lard injected loins. And I had more people come back and say the pork loin was better than the beef.
I don't know what.
And it broke my heart.
I don't know what name brand Frankie here in town
Hatfield.
that Primo's gets, but if you could get a hold to that loin.
And I don't know what it is. It's not lard.
Oh,
it ain't lard.
It's one of the best, from pork chop to whole loin, the best pork you can get. And so you can push it pretty daggum good and not overcook it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it definitely holds well.
It holds well, and it's severely enhanced. Like, it's not a all-natural pork loin, probably like some people push it off as, but it's an enhanced pork loin. It has some type of an injection. They say it's lard injected, but what research I've done, it looks like it's just I think like a lemon powder, like almost like a lemon juice concentrate powder, onion powder. It's everything that goes in it is in powdered form because it don't leak out. Like when you cook it, nothing leaks out. It's not like you're injecting it with apple juice and it's going to run out on the table. It's nothing like that, but man, it's good.
They are very, very good.
It's a good, rich pork. All right. Before we get everything wrapped up, what would be, you say, your worst fail that you've cooked for the holidays? Like something that you done that either you didn't show up with it or it was that bad.
I've showed up with everything, but I don't know. I've never really I don't know if I've ever really bombed at anything really. I mean,
you ain't supposed to be that cocky.
No, I'm just saying, so this is what's going to happen. We're going to have Christmas at your house. You're going to do all your big stuff, and y'all going to ask me to do shrimp dip. It's hard as crap to crew up some shrimp dip.
Y'all did mess up shrimp dip one year. Y'all didn't mess it up. Whatever shrimp y'all got.
Yeah, it was some shrimp. It was kind of, it was shrimpy. It had extra shrimpy to it.
Jamie is always going to bring shrimp dip, and
which is actually, it's Malcolm's recipe. I've kind of tweaked it a little bit with a little bit different stuff, different seasoning in it. But other than that, it's you go to HowToBBQRight website and do Creole shrimp dip, I think what it is.
Buy good shrimp.
Yeah, that was some shrimp I got from Kroger, and I don't know if it's Chinese shrimp or what that kind of shrimp it was.
Strong. When you brought the fish with that.
It was shrimpy.
It was stout.
So I guess, that probably would, that and we done talked about my brisket I kind of overdid, but other than that, that's probably about, I'm not the host guy like you are. My house is not set up for hosting. I wish looking back, if I built another house, I would set it up that way, but I just don't.
That is something that people don't think about either, is once you are hosting,
you're kind of stuck with it.
You are stuck with it. The first year's going to suck. You're going to hate it until you get it figured out. And then after that, you just don't care. It's just whatever. If you don't like it, go home.
I get reminded every year at your house, it was y'all's first year in y'all's house. You have a very, very nice house. I think it was like in 2017, 2018. I had my surgery. And
first Christmas was in 18.
I wasn't in the best shape. And brand new furniture, y'all's brand new house. Emily still reminds me, I spilled something on y'all's.
It was our bench in our dining room.
Bench on your dining room, and it's still there.
It's still stained. I looked at it the other day.
So, I mean, expect disasters if you're hosting at your
house. If you're hosting, expect disasters. Somebody's going to spill something. A kid's definitely going to spill something. But something to think about that we completely forgot that has nothing to do with cooking is how do you lay your food out so it's efficient?
I'm horrible at that. It's a pet peeve when it's not laid out right. Like, and this is.
Do you put meat first or meat last in line?
I'd always do it last. I'd do my sides first.
So if you're catering for the masses, always do your meat last. That way everybody feels they're plated with everything else, and you make sure you have plenty of protein to get through the cook. That was something that, again, we built our house. As dumb as this sounds, we built our house to host. And Jamie will vouch for this. Like, our living room and kitchen is all big open air. Some of y'all have seen it on our YouTube videos, but it's an open room because I knew at some point I wanted to host. And
dumb idea. Looking back,
it's a terrible idea.
No,
but that is something you got to think about. Is like, where are you going to set your drinks up? Like, you got to have a drink station. It's got to be separate from the food because
it slows production,
slows everything down. You got to have your desserts separate from your main course. And I like to have appetizers separate from the main course too, because I'll let everybody eat. I won't eat till after everybody's done. Because my nerves are shot by that point. And B, I'll walk around snack on finger foods. And,
Appetizers where it's at.
yeah, like I'll eat appetizers all day. And then once everybody gets their plate and sits down, then I'll go fix my plate. But that's something else to think about when it comes time to host is make sure you got the room and you got it laid out. And we've even done it on my back porch. Like, go get you some tables or we'll all the time borrow tables from a local church or my dad's church or whatever and just set the tables up and go. So a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts when it comes to hosting a Christmas party. And make sure you have you something to calm your nerves some point of the time because your nerves are going to be on the end by it's said and done. But
the way it is now, you're not going to go 3 days before Christmas, 3 days before Thanksgiving to your local grocery store and get what you want. No. They're out. If you ain't got Thanksgiving done by now, you're probably, you're going to be, picking what's left over.
And I'd keep an eye out, a couple weeks in advance a lot, especially like Kevin out the butcher shop, man, or you can order from him and it'll be shipped frozen and just throw it in the freezer until it gets time.
Yeah.
Like do it months in advance. All your big stuff, knock it out of the way, get things done to where your life is easier on the day of. Because that's the biggest thing that'll make you regret hosting a party is that you're hosting the party that you're not going to get to enjoy because you're working your tail off getting everything ready. So plan everything in advance, make it to where you actually get to enjoy your holidays, get to enjoy time with your friends and your family, and eat good food, hopefully.
I want people to send us some ideas what they do besides traditional.
I know there's got to be something out there that we have not done.
Probably what were them guys we had here at Malcolm's shop?
We done I know where they're from Finland or Ireland.
I don't know.
They've done the lamb's head.
Lamb head. If you look that up on
everybody at the party gets their own lamb's
look that
head.
up and look at that, and you'll find out how
dedicated.
You're dedicated.
If that's tradition, you are dedicated to it. All I can say.
You'll find out how tough your stomach is.
I bet it's delicious, but
no, I can't.
I know my mother-in-law would not go for that.
Yeah, look up. I wish I could think of what it's called, but look up sheep head for Christmas.
Yeah, I think it was the Netherlands or Ireland or somewhere like that.
But that's definitely outside the box for us.
I like to do, just stuff that's easy for everybody, something to enjoy. Again, walk around. The biggest thing is enjoy your time together with your folks. Do whatever you got to do in advance to make that happen and enjoy the holidays. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
The holidays are always a roller coaster.
It is.
It don't matter. You got anything else? You got any last minute pointers before we wrap it up? It's got to be something.
I don't know what I do. I don't know. I mean, don't be scared to change it up. Do what you're used to doing, comfortable doing, or like I say, there's tons and tons of YouTube videos from Swine Life stuff to How to Barbecue Right. Get on to any of these channels and you can find some recipes.
Something different. And just, again, plan in advance. Do everything you can. That way, everything goes smooth.
It's like every year we do something
different
than we did the year before. Just whether it's an appetizer or side dish or even a main course, just something to change it up.
We'll do corner sins before long.
We look like the Dixie Stampede. Everybody gets their own chicken. Everybody gets their own chicken.
And I have my wife, Miss Emily, in here with me today. Baby, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
First podcast?
Yes.
It's a lot of firsts for both of us on this, but we brought Emily on because we kind of want to talk about, we've already talked about a lot of the holiday, parties, getting stuff together, and we kind of want to get the desserts, my favorite part, involved in on this podcast. So, Emily, you want to tell us about your little background in cooking, kind of where you come from, where you started?
Yeah. So, I guess I would say that most of my background is in baking because that's kind of where I started. So, I've always grown up cooking, with my grandmother, with my mama, just cooking different things for the holidays, for family get-togethers, whatever. Not just sweets, but I feel like I really love to do desserts. So in college, I took a cake decorating class and kind of started doing cake decorating and a lot of fun stuff with that, different designs and icing and all that. So I did that for a long time and then really just love cooking desserts. So that's kind of what I gravitate towards. You've always been the meat guy. So you've always had that handled.
We've always went back and forth. There's a running joke that I could get in the kitchen and cook your recipes better.
Yes.
Do you believe that?
But I don't want to give that up.
All right. So we always talk about the difference in like what I do as far as like a cook versus a baker.
Yeah.
Like there's a big difference.
Yeah.
And like to me, I'm a person, I can get in that kitchen. You can give me 10 ingredients. I don't have to measure anything. I don't have to pull out a single measuring cup or do anything and can turn out a good product.
Yes.
Whereas bacon is more precise.
Right. So I think that's where like kind of the difference is with you. I tell people all the time, like you're one of those people that can get in and you would have like peanut butter noodles and mustard. And you would like,
I don't know if I can make that good. That's a long shot.
but you know what I mean? Like just a bunch of random things and you can like come up with a very like wonderful meal from that, like just randomly, just out of your head. But for me, because bacon stems a lot from like when you're baking, you have to be so much more precise and like your measurements. So like you can't have too much flour, you can't have too much salt, you can't have too much water. So you have to be really precise. So like with you, you're really great at like coming in there and just like throwing stuff together. But like the way that my mind works and the way that I'm used to, right, it drives me nuts because I have to know like, okay, we did like this much of this and this much of this. But I think that stems a lot from focusing so much on bacon that, you know.
And this is a little different. This is kind of a barbecue central podcast. So bacon's usually not at the top of my category to talk about.
Yeah.
And this actually took me a little time to do some research to figure out, hey, what can we talk about related to the holidays, related to just in the kitchen with your family, with your friends? Because to me, one reason we want to start this series is like a good holiday party is hard to beat. Like people remember good holiday parties, and it takes preparation. It takes a good app. It takes a main course, but you got to finish strong with dessert.
Yeah.
And I guess not necessarily even a dessert. Like bacon doesn't have to be a dessert.
Right.
I think desserts have to be more precise than bacon, but that's kind of where we want to go with this. And we want to talk about stuff you've learned throughout the years, because you've been cooking me on the barbecue side. You've cooked on your own. You're still the reigning world champion of port loin.
I mean, I'm going to keep that title as long as I can.
So if y'all don't know, the ones listening, we went to Fort Worth, Texas in 2017.
Yeah.
And cooked the SCA State Championship, and the ancillary that year was port loin. They gave you a whole port loin. We showed up. Of course, it was cold as crap. Us from Mississippi did not expect Texas to be 30 degrees, but we like to have froze.
We had to go buy clothes.
Yeah, we went to Cavender's and bought fur-lined cowboy stuff to wear to stay warm. But anyways, we get out there, and this is a barbecue kind of sanctioned barbecue contest, steak cooking contest, and we were there to cook steak.
Yeah.
We did care less about cooking a pork loin. And me and you both were like, what are we going to do? We're going to cook a good eating pork chop. And I cooked my pork chop. You kind of copied the exact same recipe.
I wouldn't use the word copy.
You just done what I did. You did. What did you do different? Let's air it out. All the world to know.
Okay, nothing, but
we cooked the exact same recipe.
Well, I changed something that's good. You know what I'm saying?
So we go to awards. There's 150, 200 teams cooking to this. I can't remember. It's a lot. And they call out top 10.
Yeah.
And they get to third, and they call my ticket number out. And I politely just pat you on the back. Better luck next time, honey. Go get my third place trophy. Come back. I'm looking over your shoulder. I'm looking at your ticket number. They get to first place. They call out your ticket number. And I'm great. I'm very grateful for that, because, you know, I didn't want to ride back 8 hours with you soiled up like you have before. But I wanted a good trip. So that made the trip even better. But that was kind of your adventure in, because we done a lot of state contests that year.
Yeah.
I mean, we done probably 30.
Yeah.
Like traveled all over. Like we'd get off work on Fridays. We were driving. Like we were chasing points. We were wanting to go to Fort Worth. And it was a good year. Like it was a great time. But anyhow, that's kind of your backstory to that side of the world. What else have you done barbecue related? Well, let me rephrase that. Have you done anything barbecue related that you feel like made you better in the kitchen as far as baking and recipes?
Well, I feel like like us cooking and also doing videos and things like that has helped in like kind of loosening up my style a little bit, I would say. Like I feel a lot more comfortable with being able to like just get in there and whip something up or whatever, whenever, like I think about how I learned to cook was from my mama, from my granny. There's certain recipes that they pass down, right? So like when we have dressing.
And those would you say they're as precise?
No, not necessarily, because like every Thanksgiving we have my granddaddy's dressing, and like my granddaddy had to get in there and like show my mama how to make that dressing.
It wasn't a written down recipe.
Right. So like, at some point, which I know the gist of the dressing recipe, but like at some point I'll have to get in there and let mama show me how to make the dressing, So I feel like a lot of those recipes that we have from our families, even you're the same way, it's just a thing that they knew how to do. Like when
somebody showed them.
Right. So like when my daddy learned how to make my great-grandmother's homemade biscuits, it was never like here's the recipe, just do your thing. It was always like, look, come here. You come down one Saturday and I'll show you how to make the biscuits. And it was just I got to show you how to do it versus let me write it down so you know what's in it. So anyway, I feel like, that has always stemmed because I never wanted to veer from that recipe because it's good the way that it is. But being able to cook the way that we were cooking, like in barbecue and things like that. And I think back to like when we did World Food Championships, and how you just had to be like in the moment. Like we didn't have anything written down, but we knew what we were going to do. And we were able to go in the kitchen and execute like each individual thing and break it down. So I find I've kind of stepped out of my comfort zone a little more with like doing barbecue, doing steak competitions, doing recipes and things like that, of just being able to kind of go on the fly versus like when I'm baking, it's very much follow the recipe.
I feel like that's a good point because a lot of people on the barbecue side of things always ask like, how do you do this so well? Or, how does for instance, we had a good rib run the last couple of years. Like, how was your ribs that consistent? And everybody wants to know the recipe. And I was like, well, it's a recipe. Yes, I do the same thing every time, but it's simple. Right. Like a recipe isn't good because it has a lot of ingredients. A recipe is good because you can execute it easily.
Right.
So a lot of times, like simple recipes they're usually better. Like, because it's less room for error. You're not going to screw up as much.
Right.
And I think we feed off each other really well. Like, I'm not saying this, y'all, because my wife's on the podcast with me, but like we cook good together. He?
No, I'm just kidding.
Like we
do.
Usually if it's just me and her and like we're doing our thing, like we're going to do a good job. We may not win.
Right.
But we're going to hit the marks.
Yeah.
So that's one thing people don't realize is like the personality of me at home or sitting on the couch versus the personality in the kitchen or cooking or competing is different.
Right.
And those personalities got to match. Like if you're going to cook with somebody, especially like husband and wife cooking in the kitchen, I know everybody's like, I'm not getting in the kitchen because we're going to argue. It's because your personalities clash.
Right. Well,
it's a mix that has to work. And we're fortunate enough to have that good mix. Right. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of, we know what our wheelhouse is. So, and that's kind of one of the things, like when I did get into like cooking steaks and stuff, we were doing that big run. Like I did not grow up cooking steaks. I mean, like my daddy cooked the meat, my mama cooked the sides. Like that's how I grew up. And that's, how I've always done that. But when we started cooking steaks, I think one of my biggest things was, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it. Like, I want to do it from the beginning. Like, I don't want to be that. I don't want there to be any question that somebody's going to be like, oh, well, he's really cooking her steak. Because
somebody's
that they say that, right? So, I didn't want there to be any question. So, like, when you said that, I said, I want you to teach me how to do everything from start to finish. I want to do my own thing. I want to have my own recipe. Like, I want to do my own thing. And that's what we did. And we would, critique it and change it up as we needed to. But I think that we work well together because we do know each other's wheelhouse so well. So we're able to know, like, what each person is good at. Yeah. And
what we're doing. That. So growing up, we all grew up with, you was in the Delta. I mean, we're both Southern raised. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of pride that goes into holiday cooking.
Yes.
Like everybody in your family, my family, no matter where you're at, they always have the one person that, hey, they're bringing the dressing. Nobody messes with the dressing.
Right.
They're bringing the mac and cheese. Nobody touch. Don't change the recipe for Thanksgiving.
Right.
They want that mac and cheese. So what is a recipe that you look back on that is your favorite recipe as a kid? Like that you still today try to make. I know what one of them you're going to say, and I'm going to get in trouble for bringing it up, but I'm going to bring it up later. But just
now I'm nervous about what it is.
But one of like just a recipe that you truly hold close to your heart, that you still cook, that you were taught, that your mom taught you, that her mom and daddy or your daddy taught you. Like there's a recipe in the family that sticks out.
Yeah. So I don't know. I remember like when I was growing up in our holidays, like we had a bunch of family gatherings. So like we would go to like all of our, like I would go to my great grandmother's house, I'd go to my grandmother's house, all that. So we always were going a lot, but it was mainly like my grandparents or my great grandmother that would cook a lot for our gatherings. So I feel like, there was always a huge array of things. Like I'm trying to think of.
There's got to be something that sticks out.
I know. I just
like I know the ones that stick out.
Give me a hint.
Your granddaddy, which this isn't bacon, so
well, that's what I get. I'm kind of like.
Well, I mean, there's been new stuff. So one thing y'all bake that I'm sorry to your family that I'm not a fan of is spaghetti and cheese.
Okay, is that considered bacon? Because
you put it in the oven.
Well,
and you put it on bake.
First of all, that's the best recipe known to man.
But it's not a recipe.
Well, it's the best dish.
So it's got to be like, what was all your family's desserts? I love.
Yeah.
Like, well, every time I've been to y'all's Thanksgiving or Christmas, it's always somebody's bringing a German chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have some kind of coconut cake, coconut pie, which I'm all over. You hate coconut.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. There's such a huge array. There's always like a chocolate pie, pecan pie, sweet potato. Like my favorite thing that my mama makes is a sweet potato pie. So like every Thanksgiving, I ask like, are you going to make a sweet potato pie?
But that's not the recipe you done on YouTube.
But that's not, no. And I think that that's kind of the difference, like, and especially when I look at bacon, like I love, like, give me a cookbook, I'll read a cookbook. Like I love looking at different recipes. I love people's ideas of different things and like changing it up a little bit. So, I think that you can always take an original recipe and you can always add to it. And I think that it's kind of what you do. Like I love to bake a recipe exactly as it's written first and taste it.
I hate that.
And then see like what I need to do. Like
we did it last night.
We did it last night. And like
the recipe.
Right. So I stop. So last night I made sweet potato sticky buns, which is basically like a cinnamon roll with like a sweet potato butter on the inside. So basically like pureed sweet potato with some seasonings and butter and stuff like that. Roll it up, do like a brown sugar butter, put it in there, bake it, flip it over so all the stuff like runs down.
We will post this recipe, by the way.
But after eating it, like I think of, oh, well, this would make it better. This would make it better. This would make it better. So like, when you're like scrolling through and you're like, ooh, that looks so good. And then you make it and you're like, I mean, it looks, like it looked better than it tasted.
So my description of this recipe would be a cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
Basically. I guess I can kind of see the sticky bun side, but to me, it was more of a cinnamon roll with a sauce.
Yeah.
And it had like a sweet potato filling, which was delicious. But it was almost like if you took sweet potato filling and apple butter and mixed it. It to me is what it tasted like.
That's basically what it was.
Like it was like a sweet potato butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was delicious.
Instead of the apples, it was sweet potatoes.
But like you said, after we tried it, and it was jam up. There was nothing wrong with it. But we're ones to perfect it. Like, I'm a person, like if I'm going to somebody else's Christmas party or Thanksgiving or they're coming to my house, like I want something on that table they're going to remember.
Yeah.
And it was good, and people would rave about it, but it wasn't that memorable dish. So, like, that's when I was like, hey, what if you done like brown butter and a little bit of melted marshmallow and bring more of that sweet potato element off in it? And then everybody loves brown butter. Like, you can't go wrong with that.
For real.
So, but we're going to tweak it.
Yeah.
And we're going to figure that recipe out, and we're going to post it on OutTheSmoke. That way everybody can see it. Y'all tried it. Y'all's Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a solid.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's the biggest thing. The thing about baking is that, yes, you do have to follow a recipe. Like, you are precise with your measurements, or it's not going to come out the same way each time. But there is some grace in that where you can tweak it, make it different. So, like, my sweet potato pie compared to my mama's sweet potato pie is just a standard sweet potato pie.
It's an authentic
sweet potato pie. My sweet potato pie is like a spiced up version. So where I add like a little cayenne pepper and a little more cinnamon and a little more nutmeg and things like that.
Cream cheese.
Just to add like a little different element to that, so that it's kind of levels it up just a little bit.
So would you say bacon, as in like a cake or dessert, is more forgiving than bacon bread?
Yes. I think that bacon cakes or a pie or whatever.
Like, if you screw it up or you change it a little bit, the outcome's going to be a little different, but it's still going to be a decent recipe.
Right.
If you tweak bread one way too far wrong, it's trash.
Yes. So bread is way more finicky than and I've just kind of entered into my
You established your dominance in the baking of desserts. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, the dominance in bread ain't quite there. It's good. It's good.
I'm working on it. And that's the trial and error. So I think that a lot of times I do a lot of trial and error.
And I don't mind it, because we get bread every weekend. Right. So it works out.
So whereas I think with you, your forethought on recipes is so much, like, you might see something and you're in your brain, you're already like, oh, well, I would do it this way. I would do it like this. I would do it like this. Whereas for me, I want to bake it and see what it turns out like first. And then I'm going to start tweaking it. So this year has been my year of bread. Just normal.
I think it's everybody 30. Sorry, they're going to know your age. 30 years and up on TikTok, y'all are all in the bread.
Well, you know.
And I mean, all I know is, so anybody listening has a good sourdough starter recipe, please send
help. I need some sourdough.
Because she's been making hooch in our pantry for 6 months. So we're finna get a still. We're finna go in the full moonshine business. I don't know what it is, but it ain't bread.
I don't know. I don't know if I need to change my location.
What was that Disney movie where they were, might have to cut this out, but I'm thinking of the Disney movie where it was like the people were cutting the trees down and they had that old black sludge that was taking over.
What?
Yeah, it was like the oil spill of the machines cutting the trees down. It was some Disney movie. That's what your bread is that black sludge that I don't know what it is, that moves, talks to you when you go in the pantry.
It's not always black.
It's pretty much.
It's pretty rough, though, and it stinks really bad.
Yeah, we're definitely not doing something wrong.
Well, I know for a fact, but when I first start it, it starts really, really good. And then the third day in, it's just I don't know.
All right, so we enjoy cooking. We've made that clear. If somebody was listening or somebody walked in this office and was like, hey, give me your never miss bacon recipe, sweet, we're talking dessert, we're talking finishing the night up, the never miss recipe that somebody could take to a party and they're not going to be asked to bring ice next year.
Okay.
Like you're saving the person's life. The last year, hey, you bring the ice.
So someone that's new into cooking,
a never miss, don't fail. I mean, I know mine, but it's not even bacon.
So never miss dessert, I would have to say the chocolate chip cookie recipe.
We didn't talk about cookies. That's a whole nother
thing.
Now, I will say, she's cookie strong. We got the cookies figured out. Cookies and brownies.
Brownies. So I would say cookie, brownie. I have a pretty solid brownie recipe that you're a fan of. But cookie, because you can't go wrong. There's not a lot of room for error. It's very hard to mess up a cookie.
All right. So cookies are just like steaks.
True.
Medium rare, no further than medium, or throw them in the garbage. Like, if you cook that cookie well done, it's Chips Ahoy. Like, just go buy those.
Yeah.
Like, this got to be soft. It's got to be gooey.
And
There's a fine line.
You prefer like a gooey brownie too versus like a cakey
I like
brownie.
a gooey cinnamon roll.
I know.
Desserts are supposed to be gooey.
I don't sometimes.
You don't want no dry, crusted dessert.
I mean, true. But I feel like no fail dessert, cookie, brownie, if you're just getting into it, because that's going to be like minimal ingredients, minimal time spent. Like a cookie will bake in 11 minutes.
Yeah. And if you screw up, make them again, bake them in another 11 minutes.
Right.
Like,
so, and you can make a bunch of them and they're like single serving ready to go. So like a solid cookie recipe and then grow from there. Like a cake is one of those things that you can get really good at, like the cake part, but then there's another element with the icing and there's another element with the decoration.
So feeding off of that, Heath bar cake. You can't screw it up.
No.
Like, if you've never baked a cake, I promise you can make a Heath bar cake and it is good.
True. That goes with any of those like poke cakes.
Yeah.
Like
something
where
you
pour
if you think your cake's going to be dry, you poke holes all in it and put the sweetened condensed milk.
Right.
Like, it's a never miss.
Yeah, it's not a miss. It's not something that you're going to walk into a crowd and people be like, people are going to be like, oh, Heath bar cake, yum. But
I'm going to get pretty fired up about it. Especially if you crumble up some Butterfingers in it with it too.
It's good, but.
Or some Reese's Pieces.
I don't feel like you're going to blow the crowd away. You may not blow the crowd away with a cookie either, but if you're just getting started.
It's a never miss.
Yes. And like a cake like that, you're not having to worry about how it's decorated because it's all in the pan. You're just throwing some Cool Whip on top and then some crushed up Heath bar. So, yeah, so pretty easy. A good brown butter Rice Krispie treat.
I mean, Chelle just kicked our freaking butt up here with that. So
yeah, my mama makes a brown butter Rice Krispie treat.
Your mama makes a coconut cake that is.
Yeah. I make a divine coconut cake.
But you don't even like coconut.
I know, because it's gross. It's like eating hair.
No. So, any recommendations? So we know, like, all right, simple recipe. We got that down pat.
Yeah.
And don't be scared to try things. And you still have plenty of time before the holidays to cook and try a recipe. And you don't have to go in blind to the Christmas party. If you're in charge of a dessert, you don't have to go in blind.
Right.
Practice it.
Yeah. And that's what I did last night. So like with those sweet potato sticky buns, I thought they looked really good. I'm a huge, like, Christmas time, my most favorite thing is a cinnamon roll. Like, I love a good homemade cinnamon roll. My aunt, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, she's going to bring a ton of desserts. She loves to bake too.
So this is a good time. This will give you credit. So when I say we're from the South, her family, everybody in her family has a nickname. What's your aunt's nickname?
Pumpkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a solid dessert making woman's name.
Yes.
Like, for sure.
she's good
and
at it.
She makes a cinnamon roll that.
Yes.
I'm going to sneak one out every year.
Yeah. So her cinnamon roll dough is actually, like, I guess it would be my great-grandmother, so her grandmother's dough recipe. So this dough, like, it's versatile. It's a versatile dough, so you can make dinner rolls with it, or you can turn it into cinnamon rolls. So it's just a basic dough. And then she does, like, butter, brown sugar inside, rolls it up, does a
delicious cream cheese.
Yeah, delicious cream cheese icing.
Is it cream cheese or is it?
Yeah, no, it's cream cheese. See, she doesn't love cream cheese.
I love cream.
And I hate a cream cheese icing.
We might need to quit because I'm almost over here, like, not sure what I made.
I don't mind cream cheese and stuff. Like, I like cream cheese. Cream cheese icing, I don't know what it is about it.
It's sent from the heavens. It's here for good reason.
It's not that great.
Like, I'm pretty sure it has medicinal purposes.
And the best medicinal.
Yeah, like, it's here. It's sent from the God. Like, it is here for that reason.
The best cream cheese icing I ever made is when I do the whipped cream cheese icing to put in the pumpkin roll.
That's a good one too.
That's my favorite one. Apart from that, I don't love a cream cheese icing. So, like, in a cinnamon roll, I prefer like a powdered sugar, cream, icing, just like a normal glaze, icing glaze. But hers, I love. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because somebody else makes it or what, but she has a great cinnamon roll. So she brings that for dessert.
If she
Thanksgiving,
brings,
Christmas.
Pumpkin does do an excellent job on dessert. She would be a good one. Because
Yeah.
she does a lot of stuff out of the box.
Yeah.
She's kind of like me and her probably could cook very well in the kitchen.
Yeah.
She does a lot of edible flowers, which at first when I seen it, I was like, what? But
Yes.
I get it. Like
She's really big in her, like, she grows a lot of stuff in her garden. So, like, a lot of her dishes, even outside of desserts and things like that,
it's fresh from
it's
her
fresh
backyard.
from her garden. So, like, a lot of her, even just, what do you call it? The decorating, like,
Garnish.
yes, thank you. Couldn't think of that word.
That's what we hate in barbecue.
So all her garnish and everything is like rosemary or basil or, you know, whatever. So it's all edible. She grows like edible flowers in her garden too. So like a lot of her cakes are garnished with edible flowers and things like that. So she's really unique, and she's always one like we can sit down and, like, you know, when after we eat, we sit there and we talk about, or even while we're eating, she'll say, I tried this new thing. And then we can talk about, you know, what she tried. So I feel like my family comes from a very, like, we have a lot of like cooking history. No one's like a trained professional or anything, but it's just that we love to cook. I know, maybe we love to eat. That might just be
it's a Southern thing.
We love to eat. So in turn, we cook a lot.
Well, one of the things that when I first met your granddad, your mom's dad.
Yeah.
My name wasn't Mark. I was Clyde.
Yeah.
And they're all from the Delta. So the Delta's flat. He made me walk across the living room floor to make sure I didn't have one leg shorter than the other because I was from the hills. But one of the first Christmases we were with him, we were talking, and he always talked about cooking barbecue. And I was taught a recipe that was from a good family friend up here about putting sausage seasoning on a pork butt. Like, this was from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, this has been around forever. It's nothing new, and plenty of people's probably done it, not just us. But I was talking to him. He's like, yeah, you know, I put sausage seasoning on my pork butt. And I was like, where did you hear that from?
Yeah.
He's like, well, my daddy done it. Like it was passed down to him, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that was super neat that we both thought we had something that was kind of
Unique.
related just to us, unique, but it really wasn't, you know?
Yeah.
But you do come from a great family of cooks, and I mean, your dad, he's a heck of a cook. Your mom is, and it's one of the things. Before we wrap up, give me your definition of a perfect Christmas party, whether you were hosting it or if you were going to it, like start to finish. What makes a Christmas party a success?
So I think the best Christmas party, obviously, are the people that you surround yourself with. So friends, family, I love having a house full of people at Christmas. Yeah. I mean, the ones that count. You know who you are. But anyway, I love having a house full of people just spending time together. And I think, like with anything, surrounded by tons of good food. And I love a potluck I'm from the people that you know, like my granddad was huge, like the one that you were talking about would not eat at a potluck because he's like, you don't know whose cat's been climbing at the counter and whatever, which I get that. From the people, I love a potluck because of the fact that people can kind of bring their own traditions. And
do you think people actually, the majority of people that go to a Christmas party or come to a family function that are bringing a dish, do you think they just cook something to have something to bring, or do you think most people actually have passion about what they're doing? See, I feel like it's a very and you can tell, like when they walk it in and set the dish on the bar, the table, or the island, you can tell how they set it down if they're proud of it. To me,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that you have some people that are like really passionate about.
Like if they come in with old deviled eggs, that's got some old yellow filling with some paprika on it, they didn't care about that. Like,
but if their deviled egg is piped on,
and they got some little chives chopped up, maybe a little crawfish tail, like they tried.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think that's just the difference in like if you do have a passion for cooking or if you don't. Like if I walk into a party, like I want people talking about what I brought.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the person to be like, who brought the whatever? Because I like that is something that I find a lot of joy in. And I find a lot of joy in like cooking for people. And I know you do too. Like that's one of your things you love to cook for people. And I like to cook for people too, because food is so important, and especially in our like Southern culture, like everything that we do, there's food.
Yeah.
Like food is involved. So if it's a wedding, if it's a funeral, if it's you're feeling sick and your mama brings over soup or whatever it is.
No matter what happens, it could be your kid got an A in school. Somebody's finna bring a big old crock pot or casserole
like
dish
we're
over.
celebrating by eating. So, and I think that's why I love Christmas and holidays so much, is because you're just surrounded by the people that you love and you're surrounded by a ton of good food. And so I think that that's probably my most favorite thing about the holidays is
So
that.
does the fellowship outweigh the food, or does the food outweigh the fellowship?
I mean, if you got trash food,
The fellowship better be good.
like we're probably leaving early. No, I mean, I think it's a mix of both. Like, I think that, like, when it comes to, like, when I think about the holidays, like, I know that, like, we're going to eat good, you know? So, like, for instance, like, if we're planning on whatever we're having for Thanksgiving or whatever we're having for Christmas, like, I know I can text my mama and I know what she's making already. Like, she's making the dressing, she's making the grits and greens, she's making the,
We didn't even talk about grits and greens.
I know, that's a good one too. But I know, like, what she's in charge of, right? So, like, the torch has not been passed to me to be the dressing maker yet.
And it's going to get passed to me when it does.
I don't think so. I don't
know
think
so.
so.
Hands down, my dressing, it's,
Better than my granddaddy's? Look out now.
I'm not going to say it out loud.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But it's pretty dang good.
Mm,
I'm just saying.
I mean, it's not bad. You don't make a bad dressing.
But I think it's, to me, Christmas and Thanksgiving, the food at Christmas and Thanksgiving, hands down, is better than 4th of July, better than Memorial Day, Labor Day, any other Easter.
Yes.
I love Easter, but you pretty much getting ham and a deviled egg at Easter. Whereas Christmas, like, hey, you get a spread. Like, you can get turkey, you can get ham, you can get prime rib, you can get beef loin, you can get whole hog. Because, I mean, we've done that for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a wide array of food. And I think you're right. Like, a Christmas party, no matter where you're going, there's going to be a couple of dishes that are going to be good. Now, there may be a dozen of them that are trash.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a good mix.
Yes.
Especially if it's, like you say, a potluck, which I'm not, like, I like a potluck at my house. I'm not going to a stranger's potluck.
Well, no. I mean, you got to be careful with your potlucks for sure. Like, you got to know who's cooking and if you trust them. But, you know, and I think too, the fun thing about Christmas, like, and especially at Christmas time, you have so many things that you're doing. Like, I know for us, like, Christmas is such a busy time. We have a party, we have multiple parties.
Work
pretty
parties,
much every
parties.
weekend. Yeah. So you're like, and so in that, you're trying to think of new and different things to cook. And that is where, like, I feel like kind of pre-preparing, because you know you have a lot coming up of what am I going to make and what
I'm
am I
going
going
to
to
say something that's probably going to ruffle some feathers.
Okay.
This is the weakness the South has, is that we all have big families. So, like, when we started dating, we started doing Christmas party with your family, I think in July.
Okay.
Like, it was outrageous.
Yes.
And we would go to all these different places, different churches, different family houses. And yes, Southerners can cook, but a lot of your old school Southerners, don't get mad at me for saying this, I'm just saying, have relatively a very small cookbook. You're going to get the same thing at all 10 you go to. So you got to breathe that fresh air. Like, when you're hosting, I'm all for stepping out of the box.
Yeah.
Like, we never had beef loin at any Christmas party I ever go to. We've never had prime rib. Like, until we started hosting, that's when I was like, hey, we're doing this. Like, we had turkey and ham and dressing at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring in some good stuff.
Yeah.
And it could be anywhere. Man, I've had some dynamite cocktail wings. Like it could be anything. And
well, I think too, like, you know how on Christmas Day, my mama does soup on Christmas Day. Like she's always done that because she's like, by the time Christmas Day rolls around, we're sick of eating Christmas food. So she does like a soup bar where she makes like broccoli and cheese soup and vegetable soup. And usually my aunt will bring like tomato soup and, you know, so you have like just multiple soups because you're sick of eating like ham and turkey and, you know, dressing and all that kind of stuff, which is always good. And I look forward to that. But like you said, you've got so many parties that you're going to, you're getting a lot of the same stuff. So changing it up a little bit definitely helps. And I think we do that a lot, like with our
we'll do crab legs
events.
We'll do whatever.
Yeah. Because I mean, I do love the traditional, like, and at some point I want to have ham and turkey and dressing and macaroni and cheese and grits and greens and all that. Like I want to have that for a meal, but I don't necessarily want to have that like
5 times
in a row or like every single weekend that we go to a party. So, like I think we do that like with our life group parties and stuff like that. Like for church, we try to think of something that's a little different. Yeah, we do whole hog or we do steaks or we do something that's a little bit different. It's still really, really good, but you're not getting just that same old holiday food, you know.
All right. I'm going to hit you with 2 more and then we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
What's more technical? What takes more talent, barbecue or bacon? Tread lightly. You do have to go home, don't you?
So I should say barbecue. So barbecue has a lot of different components, right? So like you are dealing with the meat and that recipe, but you're also dealing with like fire management and all that too. So you have that extra component. Whereas for me, I just like if the oven's 350, the oven's 350 and it's going to be there, you know. So like that component, it takes that extra component out. Now I have done some, like we've done some where I've worked on like some desserts on the smoker, which is its own kind of thing because you have, like I did that sweet potato pie.
Now, would you consider
on a
that
stick
bacon?
burner.
Still bacon?
Yeah.
Just in a pit?
Yeah. Because it's still the same thing. It's just that extra element of like fire management or like making sure, you know, like a pellet grill is a little bit different because that kind of
That's another
takes, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I mean, well, for bacon purposes, like you're not having to like make sure your fire stays going. You're not having all that. So like when I did the sweet potato pie on the stick burner, we had to make sure that fire stayed perfect. Or it would, because like in that, if it wasn't in there long enough, it wouldn't be any good. But
for somebody starting out, what's your go-to number one can't live without tool you use while you bake or make bread? Like what is something if somebody wants to get started with it? And we ask this on barbecue stuff too, but like it's always a thermal pan for barbecue guys. But what is your one thing? I know what I would pick for you, but I would say your KitchenAid mixer.
Yeah, I mean, I would say KitchenAid mixer is definitely, like, if you're going to be baking a lot, that's...
We put it through the ringer.
Man, yes. Like, it takes so much out of just, like, even especially in bread making.
And we're not sponsored by them. I mean, we would take it, but...
We're not sponsored, but... No, I'm just kidding. But we do use it a lot. But like, especially with making bread and things like that and the different attachments that they have just takes so much of that effort out, I guess. Like there's still things like I'm going to mix by hand or use like a hand mixer or whatever. So definitely KitchenAid mixer if you're going to be doing a lot of baking. Now, obviously you don't have to have that. I mean, you can do everything else by hand. But I would say a good set of like multiple size mixing bowls, like a good rubber spatula. I love a rubber spatula, just to like scrape down stuff. Yeah, I think
pretty good
bread.
start.
Yeah, bread making, a bread whisk for bread making, so much better than like trying to use like a spoon or a wooden spatula or anything like that. So like definitely would recommend a bread whisk. For that.
Heard it here first, folks.
That's right.
No. Well, Emily, this kind of feels weird thanking you for being on the podcast, but
you're welcome.
Definitely appreciate you coming in. You had the day off today, so
I
you
did.
brought me some lunch. We hung out and knocked out a podcast. But enjoyed it. You got
Yeah.
anything you want to add?
No, I think that's it.
I brought a special guest in here, my good buddy Jody Morgan. How's it going, man?
It's good. How are you?
Pretty good. You not sure what to think about doing a podcast not related to hunting?
Yeah, kind of. Yes, might be interesting.
So the reason I chose Jody is because y'all know I'm very involved in the barbecue world. Malcolm, same thing. He's tied up in the barbecue world. You're kind of the average dad. Like, you cook for your family. You don't compete, but you enjoy cooking. You got a pellet grill. You got a Blackstone, don't you?
Blackstone, yep.
And then a charcoal grill. So, I mean, the normal consumer is what I was wanting to key in on, because you want the normal gifts. Like, if you ask me what I want for Christmas, I'm going to be like, well, what about an Outlaw or pellet grill? Like, you know, I might take it to the extreme, but kind of want to go over that. But little backstory. How did we meet?
Grew up going to school together. I mean, we both grew up here in Hernando. I guess it was middle school?
Yeah, I think maybe middle school when we
sometime around there. Started running around together. Went from there.
And then I guess college, everybody went their separate ways, and then here we are 20 years after high school.
20 years next year.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Been a while.
Yeah. We done aged a little bit. But no, kind of like previously on these podcasts, we've talked about what it takes to, you know, get prepared for a Christmas dinner or holding a Christmas party. Like, people don't realize, and we've talked about this on all of them, is what it takes to make that happen. And we can kind of relate and go back and kind of, you tell your experience with Christmas parties. But the biggest thing I want to talk about is Christmas gift, Christmas ideas for guys, husbands, even wives. Like, if you think of a woman, I mean, your wife cooks. I mean, so things like that. So anything related to that, that's what we want to key in on today. But first off, how many years have you been married?
10 years. Been married 10 years.
Did you have to text your wife?
I did. I did that just to make sure. I knew it was 10 years.
If you misspoke on that, it was game over.
It'd been a lot worse if I'd have said the wrong thing.
So out of those 10 years, I'm guilty of it. I've got a set sitting in my pantry. How many 3-piece sets of the kitchen utensils or grilling utensils have you got from, no offense to nobody's in-laws? Most likely it's from the in-laws. Most likely. But how many have you got?
I probably got a few. I don't know how many are left, though. They usually...
Did you use them?
They probably make their way out pretty quick. Probably for a time or two. Had a few that fell apart pretty fast.
See, that was me. Like, I'd get them, and that was kind of the kit you would get for Christmas or your birthday. You go out there, cook burgers, scrape the grill off with them, and they pretty much got put in the garbage.
That's right.
I mean, it was a thoughtful gift.
Yep.
I'm not going to say the $15 Walmart 3-piece grilling set is the best to go for this holiday season, but let me start over, because you are kind of fresh to the cooking world. What are all the cooking related gifts you got? And it don't have to be just for Christmas. Like, what all have you got in your lifetime that is related to either outdoor cooking or cooking in the house, or even cooking deer meat or hunting, you know?
Utensils, any big, knives, basting brushes, bowls. The bowl's been pretty handy, you know.
What's been the worst?
Oh, man.
And you don't have to, if it's going to get you in trouble,
honestly,
beat around the bush.
A set of tongs that the handles fell off of them about the second time. And, you're trying to pick something up in the middle and think you got something going, and it falls apart. And I can say that's probably the worst one. So
what would you, to kind of back up that and back up your knowledge to that, on a scale to like 1 to 10, what is your cooking experience? 10 being, I'm going to say I'm a 8.5, 9. I'm not a 10. So in relation to 1, never cooking nothing, being a 3, 4, 5 is not a bad thing, or 6 or 7. Like, that's not bad.
Shoot, I'd say if you're a 9, I'm on the 4.5, 5 scale, maybe. I mean, I can cook, but it ain't, I don't have it down to a science like you do.
But I think, like, I would say probably for me, like I said, I'd say I'm an 8 or 9. I'm not going to say I'm a 10. I'll never be a 10. Don't want to be a 10. But in my years of cooking and getting gifts from families and everything like that, man, I've got some weird, like, spices, like some weird, like, organic lemon peppers and like stuff that, like, it looks good. And I'm like, oh, that'll be pretty good. And you open it up and it tastes like garbage.
Yeah.
Like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But we've all been there. Like I say, we've all got the grilling utensils. We've got cheap thermometers, and I've got some really, really cool knives. Like that would be some of my upper level stuff is like some of the knives I got for Christmas.
Yeah, see, like with me, some knives would be something that, and I do this with pocket knives. I can't never have enough of them. You know, I get one, I think it's the best one, and then I set it over there and use it every now and then. But
well, I feel like there's so many more options now. And I don't know if it's because we're older and we have the internet, we can look. But like I never, like you look at, what is it, Montana Knife Company.
Oh, yeah.
You're a huge fan, which I am too. They're bad to the bone knives. But you never heard of anybody making like handmade custom knives like when we were younger.
Yep.
Like you had a buck knife, maybe I don't even know, like buck knife, charade.
I think Kershaw come out there at the end. But yeah,
Gerber. I guess Gerber was probably
Gerber
a big
had
one,
some.
but, you know, as far as like, I've never seen a fancy kitchen knife. You know, I know my dad, I still had some, the old wooden, was it Chicago cutlery?
Yep.
I think that was the name. Just a wooden handle, had 3 rivets in it.
I think my mama still got a couple of them in the drawer.
There's one at my dad's house that's been sharpened down to where it's like, it ain't nothing left of the blade. Like it's a fillet knife now, and it used to be a steak knife, you know?
Yep.
But that's one of the things, like, to me, my best memories or my best gifts have been some type of knife. Like I've got a Shun brisket knife that I'm a huge fan of. One of them, I think it was, I got 2 of them and I get them mixed up, but one of them I got was like a 8-inch or 10-inch chef knife that was a guy down in Mississippi made. My brother-in-law actually got it for me, Chris, but it was a Damascus steel and it had Swine life laser etched in it. It was a handmade. It's beautiful. It's actually, it might be in here. It's either in here or in my office, but it's been one of my top ones. What's been your best?
I'd say with me, I don't have a covered patio. I have a small little covered porch on the back. I've gotten covers for my Blackstone. I've got a cover for my pellet grill and for the charcoal grill just to keep them out of the weather.
Yeah.
And they were actually good covers. They've lasted. One of them probably is about time to replace it. But like the Blackstone was good material and that joker holds up, keeps the weather off of it. I'm going to say that's probably one of the better quality and useful, because that's one of my big pet peeves about gifts is people that just give you a gift to give you a gift, knowing you're going to stick it in the drawer and it's just going to take up play. Like if you give me a gift, give me something I can use, you know, and that thing has been the biggest use I've had.
So I think that goes back to when I got married. Well, let me rephrase that. I got good gifts before I got married from my in-laws. And see, I got the reverse role. This is going to get me in trouble, I know. When my wife lived at home and she was still letting her mom and dad help her out here and there, and what it was, my father-in-law, Mr. Charlie, was helping the Christmas shopping for me, and it was on point.
There you go.
Then the first year we got married, it's like
they went to the woods.
It went a little down. My wife's tight, man. Like she's scared to death to spend a dime, and I'm like, man, if it's a gift, let's go.
There you go.
But I've got some really, really good gifts over the years, and by a lot of different people, but this one here, probably going to get you in trouble too, but who's been your best gift giver?
My mother-in-law she loves giving gifts.
So you're just getting brownie points now.
Oh yeah. But she's, which Rachel, my wife, she's the same way. She loves, when it comes to Christmas shopping, she's all about it. You know, they love to give gifts, you know, they're like me. I don't, you know, if I like giving gifts, I'm not that into it like they are, but I ain't a real big person on getting gifts. Like I'd much rather, you know, give them to people and let them see the joy of it. Now I do enjoy getting gifts, but my mother-in-law, she's pretty good at the asking you what you want and going out and getting pretty good gifts. Rachel's good at it too, though. And my mom, all the women, I can say, you're
scared to be honest.
Now
I feel it.
The men, and me, I got this honest from my daddy. Me and my daddy and my father-in-law, you know, we ain't much of shoppers. So.
Somebody goes for you.
Yeah, if I'm either getting it on the internet or if I can't pick it out close here, you know, you probably ain't getting it. Or Rachel will go get it for me is the best thing.
So one of the things we were talking about this earlier today in the conference room was the item itself does not make it a good or bad gift, especially for a guy.
Yep.
Like we joke about the cheap out utensil set or whatever, but there's a difference in a $15 utensil set and say a $40 or $50.
Yep.
Like there's some nice, like utensil sets out there. And like, I've got some that I keep in my cook trailer that's been a lifesaver. Same thing goes, like we were talking about, I don't want a cheap, rough cotton $10 apron.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to wear it, but if I had like a nice leather apron, something that would hold up and that you can maintain and something that's pretty cool, like I would go for that. But it's like different tiers in each level. You know, and it don't have to be expensive, you know?
Yep.
Like, there's been plenty of times, man, one of the best gifts you can get a barbecue guy, in my opinion, is a ThermoWorks dot.
Yep.
It's $35. I think it may be a little more now. It's a dot, do one thing. It just reads temperature. That's all it does.
Yep.
And that's, to me, that'll take somebody that's getting into cooking and not familiar to get them more comfortable cooking stuff, especially like chicken. Like, when I first got into cooking, I hated chicken because I wasn't doing it right. You know, everybody can overcook chicken, but man, if you cook chicken right, it's pretty dang good.
Oh,
It ain't bad, you know? So I think there's a big window there, and there's a couple of things that just a lot of people don't think about, you know, like, especially, you know, we joke about one thing I remember that growing up, and I seen this every Christmas. You're going to see it this Christmas. Most likely, if you're listening to this podcast, you're going to see it this Christmas too. But the little gift box with a little 8-inch chub of summer sausage.
Oh yeah, and the crackers and cheese.
Some little glass jar mustard, crackers and cheese.
That's right.
Like, they're in Walmart right now. When you walk in the door, that's the first thing you see.
Yep. And when I was a kid, I remember for some reason this sticks out to me. It seemed like the gift, just friends giving friends little small gifts, was them tins of popcorn.
Dude,
that had the 3 assorted popcorns.
I still love it though.
Yep.
I can remember going to my grandparents' house and it was sitting by my granddaddy's recliner.
Yep.
And it had, what was it, caramel, cheddar, and butter?
I think so.
I think.
But I never saw those things. But come December, it was like we had 5 or 10 of them at the house.
And usually it was used as Christmas decoration the next year because it was
That's
always
right. Yep.
a
Or
snowman or
storage
something on it. Yeah.
for it. The tin made a storage
Dang,
bin.
that got me thinking, what was the butter cookies that was in the little blue dish?
Oh yeah. I had the little Christmas scene
Yeah.
around the edge
Those
and had
little-
the separators.
And they
in
had
it.
a little cupcakes
Yep.
all in there. What was they called?
I don't know. Those weren't.
I love them things.
I wasn't a fan of. I ate the popcorn, the caramel popcorn.
That was the good stuff.
It was.
But it's, you know, what are some good gifts that from a cooking, I can name a ton of good gifts, but from a cooking side of things that the average consumer is useful.
So something that sticks out to me, a normal person just cooking on the back porch on a Saturday evening, you know, like the kits that y'all have up here in the shop. One year, Rachel's daddy's like me. You know, he cooks on the back porch. He cooks hamburgers here and there, steak here and there. Nothing fancy, but he cooks a good meal. And Rachel come up here and got a couple, I think 2 rubs and a sauce, and made a little gift bag. And you would have thought she got him a new grill.
Yeah.
You know, he was tickled to death and stuff like that. You know, it's something I feel like he wouldn't have went out and bought.
Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't have went to the meat process or to the meat store or even Academy or wherever they have the seasonings and picked out those seasonings, because she got them. There they were. And now he's cooking with them and using those.
Seasonings are, like, I joked about the lemon pepper sucking, but man, when you can, like now, especially because there's so many seasonings out there.
It is.
And it's from the normal barbecue rub to, you go look and there's Parmesan truffle. There's all these flavors, and man, I love trying them.
Yeah.
Like you've seen my spice cabinet.
Yep.
It's full of all kind of crap. I don't use 90% of it, but I got it one day and I tried it and I might have liked it. I might not have,
Yep.
you know, that's one of the big movers
Yep.
in the store is the little gift baskets with kind of assortment. And it can be, we've done.
See, I think Rachel, she got like 2 rubs of sauce and some kind of little, like either a thermometer or just a little utensil, and give it to him, you know, and you would have thought, like I said, you would have thought you got a new grill or something.
I think, you know, that's good because everybody can go to, like you say, Academy. They
Yep.
got a heck of a selection.
Yep.
You know, and it's a lot of the big names out there that are popular, you know, especially on the social media side of things. You got Malcolm and Heath and Meat Church, and there's a ton of others, Tuffy Stone. It's a lot of brands in there that a lot of people don't know about.
Yep.
You know, because I go to the store and I walk down the aisle and I look for that, you know, but most of your average consumer, I've seen it. You go to Walmart, lady's like, hey, I'm trying to find some rub. My husband wants to cook a butt. Well, she just grabs Lowry's or just whatever, you know, and I'm like, well, hold on. You know, I'm not saying this is better than the other one, but if you want to venture out and try something different, like there's other things out there.
And see, that's what I'm used to, as a kid and before got introduced to more of the cooking stuff. That's what I was used to. Just the salt and pepper or the garlic, just the little small spices.
The little McCormick's.
Yeah, the McCormick's kind of stuff. Whereas now y'all have got all kinds of blends, all kinds of flavors, all kinds of one style, one thing that'll do whatever you want to do with.
And now, even the crap, I forgot the guy's name, and I'm sorry if you're listening. The Al Fragoni that does the chimichurri that's in the shakers, dry chimichurri, and there's a ton more things coming out that are similar to that. That's not a rub. I mean, it can be used as a rub or a spice, but you use it to make something else.
Well, and too, the brine, the bird brine that I got the other day. If I had to make a brine for that turkey, who knows what I'd have thrown off in there, But being able to dump part of that bottle in there, add water to it, and let it soak, that's the easiest thing you can do.
We do. So, and a lot of people are going to the gift sets, a lot of barbecue rub companies, because it's for that reason. It's a buy one thing, get a variety.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to hit with one of those. No matter, if you give me 4 or 5 rubs in a basket, I'm going to be tickled to death, whether I like them or not, because it gives you something to try. And it's stuff that I wouldn't normally buy for myself.
Yep.
So that's always a good one. If you were going to say, are you I know you like Montana Knife Company, but that's an anniversary gift.
Oh yeah, that's a
special gift.
That's a save up for that one. Yeah.
So if somebody was to get you a knife set or something along those lines, what would you be looking for? Would you want something more for a steak knife set, or were you looking for something for processing, a boning knife or something to trim with, or use more than just for a steak
I kind of like the prep knife part of it.
Yeah.
Because that Victor notch you turned me on to, I bought that and I catch myself taking it and cutting my steak up with it. You know what I mean? It's a boning knife and you can use it to prep meat and stuff, but then I catch myself, because it's sharp, it's easy to handle. I catch myself taking it to the table with me and cutting up my chicken or cutting up my steak with it. So
and
I get steak knives, I see it, but sometimes.
Well, I feel too, a lot of times when you buy some of these sets, it's the cheapest of whatever knife's in there. It's just a set, and be mindful of that, because there is a difference.
Oh,
there's a big difference when it comes to knives. There's some good ones you can get at Walmart, the Dexter Russell, or for what they are, they're great.
Yeah.
A budget minded, they're a beater knife to me. Those are the ones I throw in my barbecue trailer. If they get beat up, if they get put through the dishwasher, okay, it serves its purpose.
So I know, and we have a nice set, and I can't recall the name of it. It's got a nice block with it, and it's got some prep knives, and then it's got, I think, 10 steak knives at the bottom of it. And they're all advertised as stainless steel. Yeah. And the prep knives, they've all held up well. I've never had a problem with them. But after 2 years we had them, I got to notice, and I was like, man, these things got a little rust on them. And I told Rachel, I said, you got to quit leaving these in the dishwasher so long, whatever, this and that. But
they ain't pure stainless.
They ain't pure stainless steel. The prep knives have held up. There ain't been a lick of rust on them. But for some reason, the little steak knives, they start getting knives like these ain't pure stainless steel.
Dishwasher is the worst thing you can do to a knife.
Yeah.
Hands down, worst thing. Hand wash your knife, especially if there's a nice knife. I'll do it. I screwed up, and I told you I had a Shun brisket knife, which I don't know if you ever seen my Shun. It's like a Japanese Damascus steel, it's an anniversary gift. And it's about a $300 brisket knife, and it's the sharpest knife I've ever laid my hands on. Memphis in May year before last. Used it for, I don't know what we were doing. I think we were actually turning brisket in for beef, and cleaned it up, wiped it off. Didn't clean it really good because we were rushing, and just wiped it off, set it off the side. Well, got time to clean up that night, and I just stuck it in my knife roll because it looked clean. Well, it had barbecue sauce on the blade, and it pitted that blade. And it broke my heart.
That Damascus is hard to handle too, because I have, for work, I got a guy, I think he's from North Dakota, and he makes lineman knives. He made me a Damascus one and handmade it, sent it down here, whatever. And man, the first time I had it, I loved it. And same thing, I carried it in a leather pouch on my belt at work and pulled it out one day. And I thought, what have I done? And that thing will rust. It took that Damascus a while. Whereas, I'd pull it out one day and it'd have that brown tone to it. And I was like, man, I better take care of this thing.
The thing about it, I know we're rambling about knives, but if a knife blade won't rust, it ain't going to get sharp.
Yeah.
It's got to rust.
Yeah.
You got to have that carbon steel in there, but that's that's the reason I say take care of them. So to name a couple of brands and you jump in, if you're looking for a knife set, man, Victorinox, they have a ton of great ones. The Meet Your Maker, they have a couple of different sets. Some of them's like a game set. Some of them's a processing set. Of course, How to Barbecue Right, we have our knife sets that are jam up. Like I say, Victorinox. If you want to splurge, tell us about Montana knives real quick, and then we'll move on. But that is, so
to me, that's the pinnacle of knives almost. Not the pinnacle, but as like an outdoorsman, that's, I think it's top
they've
notch.
come a long ways as far as like offering stuff for the chef side of things and the cooking. Like they got a ton of great, hunting knives, stuff like that. But I want one of their chef knives.
Yeah.
I want like a 6 or 8 inch small chef knife, because I felt the ones you have and they are stupid sharp.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're dangerous.
And they're not pure titanium, are they?
No, I don't remember. I didn't dig into it too much.
But they're super, super
they're
light.
built, so the outdoors knives are built because it's a Montana-based company.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of pack-in hunts. And so they built this knife. A bunch of their knives are built lightweight, back in just to cut down on weight. But like you said, those things are razor sharp.
If you want to splurge, if you want to splurge and get something fancy, I'd look at Montana Knife. I would look at,
because they've got that boning knife that they've come out with it's something special. It looks
and I'm probably saying that wrong. I think it's Shun, but I say Shun. But anyways, you get the point. Next up, I would say on my list, you need a good thermometer. I know we said the dot earlier just because they're reasonable, but man, if you had a dot and a thermal pin, you're set.
Even on like the smaller level cooking, like backyard cooking, like the deer kebabs at the house we cooked that night, I probably would have took them way too long because the outside of them didn't look as done as I thought they were due. But when I probed them, they were at 145 or whatever. And we're getting there.
So we use a thermal pin every night.
Yep.
Like truly,
even hamburgers.
Even like if it's like this Thanksgiving, we're warming up a bunch of stuff like casseroles and stuff, and they've been in the fridge because you made them the day before. They look like they might be done, but you just reach in and poke the center of that casserole. Yep, it's 150. It's hot. It's ready to go.
Well, and a thing that I never thought about, we actually, last week we was frying deer meat at Rachel's family's place. Mr. Russ threw a couple pieces out and stuck that thermometer in there, see what that internal temperature of frying deer meat was.
And
yeah, most time you look at it and that's good, and you just throw it over there in the batch. Whereas now it ain't too done, but it's done enough.
A good inch-to-read thermometer, and there's a ton of great brands. We're ThermoWorks team here, like we're 100%. The ThermoWorks thermal pin is my favorite thermometer.
Yep,
and we use it all the time.
And that's something you can go cheap on too.
Yeah,
because I've had a cheap one, and
there's nothing wrong with them. Like they'll get you by for a year or two.
Oh yeah.
But when I say a ThermoWorks thermal pin, I've had the same one for 6 years now, probably. When they first come out with the MK4, which is the newer one from the original, it takes AAA batteries. When they went to that was game changer to me, because if that's another thing is like originally the ThermoWorks thermal pin had like a watch battery in it.
Oh yeah.
And I hated that because nobody wants to jack with a watch battery trying to find 9056 or whatever. Just give me some AAAs,
Yep.
And when they went to the AAA batteries, like that was game changer because it's simple. You always got AAAs around the house, but I have had one, and you probably ain't put a battery in yours, have you? Like you have to put some hours on them to put a battery in.
And if I did, it was because I left it on, and it's got a sleep time thing on it where it cuts itself off.
Yeah, the little screensaver.
Yep. I can't remember putting a battery in any of them.
So we've covered the aprons, we covered the knives. I'm just checking, making sure we're not missing nothing here. We got the rubs. We've got the summer sausage kits. Well, that's not a bad gift. That's get the gift. It goes to deer camp.
Yeah.
And everybody snacks on it after Christmas, or you just pitch it out there Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve night for somebody to eat on. It's not I'm not going to rave about a summer sausage and cheese, but I'm not going to be disappointed if I get it.
Yeah.
But talking about summer sausage kits, I'm now referring to like actual processing. Like I love doing, like you get something to make jerky, like a dehydrator, any kind of processing equipment. Most of your husbands, guys, outdoorsmen, anybody like that can use it, whether it be a little hand meat grinder, a good meat tenderizer, Disposable cutting boards. Like,
Oh yeah.
that's just, yes, it's just
Easy
cardboard
to clean
paper.
up.
But man, if you give me 50 disposable cutting boards, I'm tickled to death because we use them all the time.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people don't think about stuff like that. They think about the core things, but man, you walk down the aisle at, I don't know, Sports and Warehouse or Bass Pro where they keep all the processing stuff. Anything on that aisle to me is good. You know, like
well, that's what with me. I'm one of those people. I'm not very patient. And I went on and bought me a meat grinder from meat.
yeah,
You know, just they had them half price. I'm not waiting on somebody
Grab
to get me this, so I went on and got it. But things like that for somebody that doesn't want to, if they're hunting and don't want to take their meat to a processor, that grinder and that vacuum sealer and
vacuum sealer.
the bags, if they want to experiment making jerky, sausage, dehydrators, things like that, or, you know,
Makes your life easier.
yeah, like to me, I probably wouldn't go out and buy me a dehydrator, but if somebody just splurged and bought me a dehydrator, what's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to slice me up some jerky and make me some jerky.
That's actually on my Christmas list this year is a dehydrator. We used to have one years ago.
The plastic one with the different
plastic,
levels?
yes. And I mean, it worked.
Yep.
I don't know how it worked because I don't know what it done. I don't understand how dehydrating, I don't know the math and science of that, but I mean, you could throw fruit in sesame. I love dried fruit.
Yeah.
And if a freaking freeze dryer wasn't so expensive, I'd like to toy with that.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother level. But anything with processing, like I say, a lot of people don't know about the disposable cutting boards. And that is
I didn't until I started running around with you, watching you cook
the
stuff.
best thing ever. You know, I mean, yes, it's wasteful, but it's so much easier, especially if you're doing chicken or something you don't want cross contamination in. You get one of them boards out, cut it up, do what you got to do, get done, throw the board away, and you're through. Like, you're sanitized. It's clean. Wipe the counter off. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's always been a good one. I haven't been around much of the like marinade tubs, but I know I've been seeing a lot more of it's called drippies. Have you seen that? Where it's like a cutting board and the sides pop up.
The sides pop
and
up
it turns
holds your
into like a
stuff in.
marinade tub. I was like, that's a solid there. That's a good one, you know. What else would you say in your realm of cooking that we had spoke about would be a good call? Vacuum sealer was one. We kind of mentioned that.
The vacuum sealer process. A
sous vide.
Yeah.
They got to where now you can get a sous vide for under $100. And I don't use mine for steaks like you see everybody rave about, but I use it for everything else. Like, if we want to reheat barbecue, throw the Ziploc bag in there with whatever pulled pork, turn the sous vide to 150 and let it go, you know. Or I do it for a lot with desserts because, you know, my wife cooks desserts and I enjoy doing it, but creme brulees, you know, throw them in there, cheesecakes. Like, it's a cooking utensil that you'll use more than you think you will. You won't ever get one for yourself, but if somebody gave you one, just like you would never buy one.
No.
But if I got you one, you would probably use it.
I'd throw something in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to. Yep.
Sous vide's a good one, though, man. You can get them off Amazon. Like I say, that's an easy shopping list. Nothing to it there.
I was thinking like somebody like me that's just not into it as much as you are, like like grill cleaners, stuff to help clean up. Because like you said, that's the thing. The cooking part's fun. Then you got to clean it up. That's the kind of not so fun part. You know, like grill cleaners or like your cutting board, disposable cutting boards you're talking about. Things like that make the job easier. You know?
Like, I would be appreciative of like the cotton liners, the white cotton gloves, and a good set of nitrile gloves. You know, everybody's always asking, like, how are y'all handling that meat or grill or whatever? Like, are those gloves insulated? No, we use the white cotton liners and the nitrile gloves. And it's again, it's something that you're going to run out of. You're going to use them all the time.
And
so if you get more of them, you're good.
Yep. Use stuff useful.
See, I'm in my mind, I'm walking through Bass Pro and Lowe's and all these stores, like seeing what I see on the shelf.
Yeah.
And what jumps out. Hamburger press. I cannot pat a hamburger out. I'll screw them up every time. I
had one of them little red ones one time. It didn't work out. I wasn't no good at it.
No, you gotta get like
it's an art to using them things.
Like I got a Meet Your Maker press. I have a LEM or LEM that's like, it's kind of a heavy duty, and there's several different brands, but like an aluminum one, you can adjust the thickness. And then it tells you like, all right, if it's this thick, that's a half pound patty or a third pound. Everybody uses them.
Yeah.
Man, for the nicer side, I'd have to give my buddy old Heath Bloodsacker a call on them cutting boards. Bloodsacker Woodworks or Bloodsacker Custom Cutting Board. Forgive me, Hank and Heath. I don't know what your exact company is, but we're going to have him on the podcast in the future. But he does legit handmade cutting boards that are beautiful.
Yeah, those are like the knives. That's
Yeah.
one time.
And I use mine like
thing.
I have one, and it's beautiful. And it's like, man, I'd be scared to use it. No, I'll put that baby through the
Yeah,
ringer.
they're built to work.
That's character.
Yep.
I mean, it adds to it,
Yep.
A good cutting board, that's a solid there. Man, there's so many options.
There is. To me, one thing that I don't realize it, and I think I said this earlier, is like the stainless steel bowls.
Yeah.
Like when I'm not an inside cook, like stuff on the stove ain't my cup of tea, but outside, and that's the one thing. When we moved in our new house, I was doing something, getting ready to cook something outside, and I was like, I need a bowl. Well, it was the plastic bowl or this bowl. And I was like, man, I need a good set of, just from any like little 6-inch up to the big, because even like, messing with deer meat, messing with turkey breast, mixing up hamburger meat, this and that, them big stainless steel bowls they're nice where you can.
Yeah, and they're budget friendly.
They are.
And you can get a kit for
and
$25-$30.
Like you said, most of them ain't going to rust, so you don't have to just take the best care of them. You can let them sit for a couple hours before something bad happens to them.
I was thinking too, like, I'm a cast iron. Like,
yeah.
I love cooking on cast iron, and it's something about cast iron that everybody that cooks on it wants you to know they cook on cast iron, But cast iron's always a good one. And that's another thing is I didn't realize this is like I've always used to see in the lodge cast iron you see, but there's high-end cast iron out there too that you can spend as little or as much as you want. But,
and I never realized with cast iron too, like you go to the antique shop, and I thought those cast iron pots and pans hanging on the wall were decorations. And, I'm like, who would buy that piece of junk, But then you talk to some older people and that's
refurbish them.
Yes, that is a delicacy to them. They'll spend a lot of money and take it home and refurbish it.
I was seeing the other day, one of the guys posted on TikTok, he does like the refurbishing, puts them in the electrolyte tank or whatever and gets them clean. But the one he done was stamped from like the 1920s.
That's crazy.
It was some big ranch out in Texas. It was like their brand, and it was pretty dang cool. And I was like, it'd be cool to find one of these.
Yeah, and to think of like the cowboys that use that thing.
Where did that skillet go?
Yeah, and what does it seem?
Yeah.
Yep.
But all right, so we got some good gift ideas. We've covered the rubs, different gift sets. One of the ones that Tyler was talking about earlier when we were talking about this podcast was like hot sauce kits. And I'm not a hothead. Like, I like hot sauces, but I'm not going to just go out and try to find the hottest, but they are fun. Like, some of those kits make you step out of your comfort zone and try different hot sauces, and you might find one that you do like, They don't have to be the screaming hot ones, but if you want to burn somebody down, that's a funny, dirty Santa gift.
Yeah. Find that one that thinks he can eat the hottest thing. And
so if you're going to go to a dirty Santa, not a dirty Santa, but a friend's Christmas dirty Santa where your wives will get in trouble if you bring something actual dirty. But what are some ideas you could take there? Because there's always going to be dudes there that cook. They're going to grab whatever. So if you show up with something cooking related, what is a budget? 25 and under. What are you taking to dirty Santa?
25 and under. Whew.
I'm probably going to have to go with one of those summer sausage kits. Or like a gift basket, like put a gift basket together like we do up front, a couple different rubs.
Yep.
I've took several our gift baskets to Dirty Santa.
And see, like,
and they're going to get fought over.
With y'all shop, you can get pickles and all the other jar, the stuff that y'all got in the jars that you put in that basket that would fit well. I'd be happy to get something like that. I don't know. I'd have to walk around and look and shop.
It's a bunch of items. Like, there's a ton of options. Like
you could.
And it could be good. Like, it don't have to be expensive to be good. I know we're talking like high-end knives and stuff like that, but it don't have to be $200 or $300.
No, you can find that like $25, $40. $40.
That Victorinox knife, $21 on Amazon.
Yep.
And
for $40, you could get a heck of a gift that's gonna.
What is that? All right, what is that Victorinox? It's a 7-inch curved boning knife.
I think so.
And it's red handle. I think they got
mine's black,
and I think they got a white, but the old school one we all had was the red handle.
Yeah.
And it was a good knife.
They are good. They're really, and they sharpen well and they stay sharp.
So we're food related. Like, I'm a foodie. tell me if you were going to show up at a Christmas party or host a Christmas party. Now, we ain't worried about the gifts now. We're talking food. What is the perfect Christmas party?
Ooh.
Like, what's going to be your appetizers? What's going to be your sides? What would be your perfect Christmas party?
If I'm hosting or going?
Either one.
Man.
If you're going.
If I'm going.
Like, if you're going to a Christmas party, you and Rachel go to leave, and y'all both look at each other and y'all get in the car, and it's like, that was epic. Like, that was some fine groceries.
I'm going to say an appetizer, sausage and cheese plate.
Fancy charcuterie board.
Yeah. Maybe the little slider sandwiches.
You're hitting some of the notes the other guests have hit on. Me
Yeah.
and Chell talked about some sliders the other day.
They're good. They're hard to beat. Man.
Yeah.
Sides. Macaroni and cheese hard to beat.
Good macaroni.
Good
cheese.
macaroni.
I ain't talking about box.
Yeah, that's hard to beat. Man, I don't know. I go to Christmas parties. I finger food it all. I don't
See,
I don't make a big plate. I stand up and
That's me.
talk, and I
I
don't
walk
really
around and
sit down.
graze.
Yeah. I don't sit down and make a meal. I kind of,
Dang, I may have got you on the wrong segment. I should have brought you for the appetizer segment.
sorry. But I mean, going somewhere, somebody's hosting a Christmas party, but like I'm stuck on like the chicken wings, and
You want good snacky food.
maybe something sliced up, where you can get 2 slices instead. I think we've talked about this before, cooking steaks. Instead of serving the whole steak, slice it up where
Do
somebody,
like a flight of different ones.
Yeah. Where like my kids can get 5 pieces of steak and I can get 10 instead of getting a whole steak and having to cut, stuff like that. I feel like would be,
That is a good idea. And we've done that before. Like cooking individual steaks, you got to have everybody a steak.
Yep.
And a lot of waste goes on most of the time. And we've cooked 4 or 5 steaks and sliced them up and fed 10 people and had leftovers.
Turned it into a bigger
so like,
meal. Because if I sit down with a steak, I'm probably going to try to eat that
I'm
whole
going to
steak.
try to eat the whole steak.
If you got it in slices, I'm going to get me just, 5,
you're
6,
not
7
miserable.
slices. Yeah. And then eat that.
See, I save the being miserable after eating. That's a Thanksgiving. I don't want to be miserable at Christmas because
Oh, I do.
I don't.
I still do. I don't want to be, but like at our family Christmases, yeah, I still get miserable.
My thing is, like, I walk around snacking, you don't realize how much you eat because you've been grazing all day
Yeah.
like a cow, and then you sit down at 4 o'clock and you're like,
But at like our family Christmases, we make a plate and sit down and eat.
yeah.
Whereas like if I come to a Christmas party at your house, I'm probably not going to make a plate and sit down at the table and eat. I'm going to get me a little bit of this and a little bit of that and stand up with my plate and talk.
So you're finger food, pass around, hang out, fellowship. I can get behind that. But what do you want for Christmas?
Oh, man.
And it ain't got to be food related because, I mean, hopefully your wife will listen to this in a couple of days. And what do you want for Christmas?
I done got where, I guess the older I get.
Christmas ain't the same as what it was.
Oh, no. Not at all. Man, it depends on what tier we go on. If we go on that upper tier, I don't want people spending a bunch of money on me.
Yeah.
Like a hoodie, a good jacket, a hoodie to wear somewhere presentable and then a hoodie to go out in the yard and work in.
Man.
Or a jacket. But then you go on the lower end, like I said earlier, pocket knives and flashlights. I ain't never got enough of them for some reason.
And as bad as I hate to say this, a good freaking pair of socks.
Yeah.
Like we
All
always
socks
joke.
are hard to find.
I mean, now I ain't talking about your Hanes from Walmart. I'm talking about like some good socks.
Yeah.
Like good
And they've
socks.
got a lot to choose. I was looking at them the other day. They've got the alpaca wool
Yeah.
and they've got
seal
wool.
skin.
Yeah,
and-
wools that I can't even pronounce. And, but, to me, pocket knives and flashlights are if somebody wanted to get me something good, that would be, that's the thing. People ask me all the time, what do you want for Christmas? And I can't really.
I say stuff all year. I'm like, man, I wish I need this,
Yep.
and then when it comes Christmas time, I'm like stage fright. I'm like,
And my mama gets so mad at me because I'll have stuff I want and I'm so impatient that I'll buy this $30 item here and $30 item
Yeah.
here. And then she's like, why didn't you just wait and let me get you that for Christmas?
because I'm already there.
Yeah,
and I wanted
it's
it.
like that. I can't. I don't have any patience.
Well, I think that's going to do it. I mean, we've covered the basics, and that's the biggest thing is
Yep.
we just want to give y'all some ideas, some different Christmas gifts, help you plan your party. We want y'all's Christmas party to be as good as ours. I think we're going to have a pretty good one this year. I might do a hog. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But
Those have gotten fun.
it has. But we appreciate y'all listening. Jody, thank you. We got to go eat some supper. We got you out here late tonight.
Yep.
And
Thank you for having me.
have a good time. But y'all, thanks for listening. Y'all check us out on Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. Y'all shoot us any messages, any questions y'all got. We're going to get started on this next season. We had a ball talking about Christmas parties, but we'll see y'all next time.